But when DOGE makes these kind of cuts that actually save taxpayers hundreds of dollars every year, now we sit here and scream,
okay, but it doesn't actually do it. So
No.
His entire point is that Doge is really not saving that much money. Like, obviously, like $8.6 billion might be a lot for an individual to have, but for the U.S. government, that's nothing, bro. That's nothing.
So every other point is to have new safety upgrades to our planes, right? Those safety upgrades have to happen unless he actually goes through the process. And there is a process, right? A process he used before in his first term, where he can cancel those expenditures. He's not doing that, and this is why. Final thing.
But you're wrong. Yeah, the president can temporarily it's called the deferral. So the president cannot rescind fundings, but he can for one fiscal year defer payment.
Right now, what Trump is doing is super clearly more aligned with impounding the funds rather than deferring the funds. Because since Donald Trump is claiming these are all wasteful spendings, he's not going to say that, like, oh yeah, right now it's wasteful for the U.S. to be spending money on like trans Sesame Street in Ghana or whatever. Yeah, but in 3 years I'm probably going to spend it anyway. Like, obviously that's not what Donald Trump is going to be doing.
I'm seeing, hey, what do you think that cutting the spending looks like, right? This is what it looks like. This is what we voted for. Trump.
No, what do you mean?
Oh, this is not what it looks like. What it looks like is passing a different budget.
From the VA, right? Is that fine? There's a lot of inefficiencies there, right? And that's something that we should deal with. There's a lot of agreement.
I can literally attach to a veteran right now that says I hate the VA.
Yeah, but the reasons they use a VA because when they actually get those services, they like those services. Well, DOGE should not have gone in. Should the American government have gone in and...
The DOGE is. It's the U.S. Digital Service.
You keep saying this, Prime, but if they were going to go in, they would have done it.
DOGE is the United States Digital Service. Yes. They call it DOGE for fun. They renamed it.
Yeah, they renamed it.
So these are U.S. government employees who went in.
Sure. Yeah, hold on. I understand that. But
yeah.
DOGE
Wait,
is doing that.
Hold on. No, touch on that. What does the U.S. Digital Service do?
Yeah.
What does the U.S. Digital Service do?
Do federal employees have authority to just cut spending?
The U.S. Digital Service just updates computer systems.
Individuals who don't have the resources to actually take these guys on, right? These institutions like, for instance, the credit agencies, right? That you don't have that ability. You could have gone to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and they would have helped you out, right? And he did help individuals out. Now that is no more. That is no more.
I mean, so interesting you brought the banks, but when was the last time that we had balanced budget? You know which one?
Sorry, hold on. That's a distraction. Hold on.
What the fuck, dude? Are you kidding me?
Ignore. Yeah. That's a good point. However, I don't care.
This wasn't even on the level of, like, you know, maybe we're trying to make an agency more efficient and fired people that we had to rehire later. This is an entire agency that was doing a good thing that just got fucked. If you want to see more content like this, I would really appreciate you liking and subscribing. It really helps with the algorithm. And make sure to check out the Discord and other social links in the description. I don't know how Gibbs... I don't think you've ever spoken to Gibbs really in Prime Kai's ended up here, but I'm very, I mean, I'm happy for them, but oh boy, this is,
yeah,
this is something.
I've talked in his chat when we were, or when he was doing the immunity thing with JC and Lactoid, but that's the only time I've interacted with him. But I know of him. I'm in the server. Like, I pay attention to him.
Okay.
But I didn't know he did debates. I thought he was mostly just like moderating stuff.
No, yeah, he has his I mean, I don't know. This is probably the first IRL debate he's done, but yeah, he'll hop on debate panels sometimes. So, oh boy, this will be interesting.
Okay, what's wrong with DOGE?
I think DOGE undermines our democracy. I think that it's an end run around all the systems that we actually already have in place to do exactly what DOGE says it's going to do. And that's a way to avoid responsibility on our lawmakers for all the draconic changes that are going to be made.
Yeah, I mean, Prime here will have you believe that the democracy is threatened by DOGE, but the real threat to democracy, in my opinion, is unchecked bureaucracy. It's pretty clear that the Dems have set up a bureaucratic government that is basically just funneling money to all sorts of different places. And I'm really a big fan of DOGE. It seems to be peeling back this little nasty onion and letting us see what's underneath, and love it. It's what we voted for, and we're getting what we wanted.
So,
oh boy,
you know, you mentioned that it's undermining the structures that are already in place that should be dealing with it. What do you view those as?
Simple, right? We had the Office of Inspector General, right? We have Government Accountability Office. We have the court system. We have the lawmakers themselves who have oversight. We have oversight committees that do all these things.
Do you think they were working, like they were functioning as intended?
I think they were functioning, but not to the speed that anyone is happy with. I can say that at least.
So, I suppose that it's fair to say.
Do you think that's true?
So there's a difference between if it's running as fast as it should be and if it's running as fast as the voters want it to.
Right.
A big part in the way that our country was founded is that things kind of move purposefully slow, so one person can't just come in and fuck everything up in 4 years. So that's kind of the point. And I think it's ultimately going to come down to DOGE isn't making anything move faster. If anything, it's slowing everything down. I mean, like firing most of the workforce in federal departments is not going to make it more efficient. Not knowing what federal funds are acceptable to send to where isn't going to make anything function more efficiently. It's going to do the exact opposite. DOGE hasn't done anything that would actually help government efficiency yet, other than just freeze everything and hope that they can figure it out.
Right. Yeah. I also just don't. I mean, I just don't think anyone pays attention to the, government accountability reports and inspector general reports that we already put out. So like, I understand why voters might not think anything is happening, but like, people like scream and cry to audit the Fed, and it's like the Office of Inspector Generals already does that, and all the like 70 reports they've done are like public online, but it's just like nobody cares because there's not Elon Musk jumping on stage to promote it. So.
Yeah, there's also been a big problem in defining what like fraud, waste, and abuse are, because like when we look at what fraud would be in federal spending, it's it being allocated to something and then actually going to something else. That's what fraud means. Right. So if we gave like $100 million to combat AIDS in like some African country or whatever, and we do that, whether or not you think it's appropriate for that funding to go there, that's not fraud or waste or abuse. That's what it was allocated for. And where the funding is allocated is always publicly available. But Trump and all of the conservative people have done a good job in redefining fraud, waste, and abuse to be whatever Donald Trump doesn't see as appropriate, even though the Congress passed that through the budget.
It wasn't efficient. The system that was I mean, like what I'm trying to say is we have this position where you're saying it was working, but it wasn't working well enough.
Yeah, but that's any system, right? And like efficiency, if efficiency comes at the cost of democracy, right? If it undermines our ability, our constitution, our system of laws, that's not acceptable. Like we can improve our processes, right? We can go through, we can improve how responsive Congress is. We can do all these things, but it's hard work. We actually need to do those.
Well, this gentleman over here says he voted for it, though. Isn't that democracy?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, when we look at the debt, right? We're what, 36.22 trillion. The national debt held by the public is 28.9 trillion. I just want to see this. It's clear something's gone wrong, right? Kevin O'Leary was recently on a show and I was watching. He was just talking about how when you do a business, and I do this in my day-to-day life, you go in.
A business.
There, you evaluate what's working, you trim the hedges, and then you expand, right? You don't just keep expanding in perpetuity. And I think that's what's happened with the government. We've had Democratic leadership for 12 of the last 16 years in
the federal debt has been expanding regardless of who's in office, buddy. But all right, okay.
And they created this monstrous bureaucracy that definitely needs to have the hedges trimmed. And this is what I voted for, and I'm getting exactly what I wanted. I mean, look at USAID being cut. We find out there's funding all sorts of random stuff all over the world. We're looking at things here. They argued about the DEI programs with FFA. Well, year to date, we actually have.
Okay. Well, real quick, it's dumb to compare the government to a business. Like obviously the goal of the government should not be to turn a profit, and also we print our own currency, so like we have more room to, borrow. Houses can't print their own currency. Mm-hmm. The government can. And also, it's funny that he said debt held by the public too, because like it's weird. Like, there is a risk, there's a greater risk of having debt held by like China and whatever, but like there's not a massive risk when we have debt held by like the Social Security Trust Fund and like the Federal Reserve. Like I don't think that's as big of a risk, but yeah,
it's been also I wanted to touch on something he said there, because a lot of people say this to me is it's annoying to say that something is necessarily democratic if the people voted for it.
Right.
If you like vote to install a dictatorship in which democracy doesn't function anymore, that's not a democratic thing, even if the people voted for it. To say like, oh, I voted for Donald Trump to basically throw away all of these laws so he could just do things unilaterally. Okay, that's fine. That doesn't make it democratic.
Right.
Nor does it, if we move off of the democracy terminology, it also definitely doesn't make it legal or justifiable. Right. Yeah, it's frustrating whenever conservatives say that, because they would see a vote to remove democracy as a democratic thing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's annoying, especially like, God, when Tupple lives rent free in my head. Any time when Tupple's losing an argument, okay, he's just like, this is what the people voted for. This is why your party lost. But
yeah, this is why the Democrats lost.
I just looked that up earlier today. I mean, we're going through all these different programs. The Department of Education halved, right off the jump. I mean, big fan. All these things I wanted.
We've actually been going over
Wait, is that even? Was the Department of Education halved, or did they just fire some people in it? What's the?
The Department of Education I don't know if it was well, realistically, I don't think any of the spending cuts that Elon has allegedly proposed to the president have even happened right now.
Right.
Because believe it or not, there's no legal way for the executive to cut executive funding other than impounding or freezing funding, which they did through the OMB, and then that got paused. So I don't know where he's getting that the Department of Education was halved, other than maybe federal workers. That's the only thing that I could think of.
Yeah, I don't know what he's.
Oh, but then the question is, why is that? What is that doing?
Getting rid of the wokeness. Okay, they're gonna stop transing the children. All right.
Yeah, because the Federal Department of Education famously sets curriculum.
Yeah, obviously. I guess they fired some staff in the Department of Education. Looks like. I think that's what he's probably talking about.
Airline thing quite a bit, and
yeah, it doesn't do. Yeah.
Year to date, it's worse.
Is it? I mean,
yeah,
I have the wrong data then, but that's
also it is challenging to get the data because if you look at year-over-year data, they'll tell you about general aviation crashes, but that could include like a tug hitting a plane on the ground or something. So then when you track for fatal airline crashes, we have, I think, 3 out of 5 serious disasters so far this year, and usually you get 4 to 6 per year. Okay. So
Biden didn't have a single fatal crash under him, right?
I don't know for sure.
I'm pretty sure Biden literally didn't have a single fatal airline crash while he was president. But I could be wrong about that.
Well, regardless, I don't think that even if he did, the fact of the matter is Biden didn't really do anything that crazy to like do big reform on the way that we do our aviation regulation. Donald Trump did, and now like we're seeing the consequences of that. Now I might be wrong. Maybe there are comparable levels, and we're just reporting on it more. But I don't think that's true. And everything that is being reported lines up 100% with what Donald Trump is doing.
Yeah, I think there was only one fatal crash during Biden's presidency. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Like Biden was not, trying to make the FAA more efficient, we'll say, to be charitable.
Yeah. True. I mean, the most efficient that they could be is, 1 second plane, flights. If they have 1 second flights, those are very efficient. You just, ultimately, the most efficient way to run the government is to just make sure that everyone gets to heaven quicker, because, that's ultimately the end goal here.
Right.
Way ahead of schedule of the average so far. I don't know what the reason for that is, because I don't think Trump has been in office long enough.
I agree.
Yeah, right. And so we were talking with the Ben Davidson, is his name? Am I getting his name wrong? The space weather guy. And I'm like, everybody wants to say that's like DEI. You've got some people on the left, they're saying, oh, it's because Trump came in with DOGE and they're cutting FAA. People on the right are saying it's diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm like, I don't think DEI would happen for years and then instantly in 1 month cause a bunch of crashes.
Right.
And I don't think that Trump got into office and then instantly a bunch of crashes happened simply from him being there. So I feel like we've got an anomaly there. It's hard to track.
Well, to back your point up,
Wait, hold on. Can you pause it real quick?
Yeah.
Well, so he's partially right, and it wouldn't make sense for DEI to be causing all of these crashes if DEI has been in place for years and there was crashes all of a sudden. But then why does he simplify the point down to Donald Trump simply being there, being the thing that causes the crashes, when he already referred to the thing that Donald Trump
actually did? Yeah.
Yeah. What?
We've had a shortage for aircraft controllers for 2 years now, I believe. I mean, I as like a conservative from Texans, we naturally don't like the government. I was initially hesitant when they said we're going to put DOGE in because, hey, what's that slippery slope? It's going to be, another organization wasting my tax dollars. But they've gone in there, they've done a lot of things. And with the FFA, it wasn't my favorite Trump plan so far. I can be critical of Trump. I think maybe we could have probably got a trained monkey to go in there and watch these things better than nobody. That's better than nothing. I feel like if you have a shortage, you better have somebody than nobody.
It's nonsense.
You don't agree? I mean, you could get the janitor to watch a thing. Well, that's better than nobody watching it, right?
I would call it absurd, but technically the truth that a trained monkey is better than no one.
Yeah,
but we don't want a trained monkey.
Sure, exactly.
No, it would be better to not have any signals from a control tower than like random signals.
Well, no, trained monkeys. You'd be surprised. They put chimps in spaceships and they know when to trigger the boosters and whatever.
Yeah, they can go to Sputnik. They can.
This is some intelligent conversation we're having.
Yeah, high level political conversation.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, like, I mean, like Gibbs didn't like outright say like I want to privatize the FAA or anything, but there's probably good reasons to have air traffic controllers be like federal employees. Like there's probably good reason to have that. But anyway.
This is
handle
the
it.
high-level conversation I came to talk about. All right.
They had a dog, right? They had the dog go to space in Russia,
Yeah.
and the dog was trimming. The light turns on, it paused the button, and then the things happen.
Okay, fantastic. Oh,
They didn't have-
That's my advocation for.
I'll notify Elon on that one. All right, so ignoring that part, right? But like, so DOGE says that it hasn't actually fired, in terms of the FAA, air safety individuals, right? That's not the case. Like, we actually have articles talking about this, like Rolling Stone reporting, that they spoke with an FAA employee who was once among a handful of employees working on an obstacle impact team at the Mike Maroney Aeronautical Center in Oklahoma City. The team evaluates many tens of thousands of potential new hazards, such as new buildings, windmills, and especially cranes, to inform flight procedures each year. That's the person who does safety. And just like another one. A second-term employee whose job was ensuring that pilots are medically able and certified to fly. This person is also cut. And there's many other examples. These are just ones listed in Rolling Stone.
Well, I suppose the challenge then is this the article that I have pulled up? Is it?
FAA, yes, indeed.
Yeah. So it's from February 18th. Well, I mean, I kind of feel like we already went over the point of it may be disconcerting to many people, the points you're making. Give you that one, but I don't know right now what the immediate effects of that are.
Oh, no, I agree. We agree. Like, I don't think that at this moment, like,
What?
things have crashed. But
I mean, his point was just that Doge said that they weren't cutting people, related to safety, and very clearly this is someone who, was performing something related to safety and has been cut. He's not necessarily even, I mean, he said like already, we agree, we don't know if Trump is responsible for these crashes or whatever, but like,
but
Jesus.
things will get more
Real
dangerous.
quick,
Right? You
I'll
fire
be
all
back.
these teams.
Give me like 5 minutes.
Sure.
Right? The people, and if you pick through the article, they're talking about how they've been gutted, right? There's still maybe a few of them still there, but they're doing the work of like 5 people doing the work of 20. That's not what you want. And before they weren't like fully staffed at first as well. And then of course, right, we have the reporting from that big meeting between Trump and his cabinet members, right? So, and Elon Musk is there, not part of the cabinet. And Elon Musk gets into it with Treasury
I would never leave you. Thanks, Testicle Johnson.
Secretary Duffy, right? There's a bunch of reporting talking about this, but Duffy says that the DOGE team tried to fire air traffic controllers, right? Elon Musk denies that, and then he asked Duffy to name the individuals who got fired. Duffy's like, well, no one got fired because I stopped it, right? But according to him, assuming this is correct, people were in the meeting or reporting back on it. Assuming that
Reniolas got to go adjust his butt plug. True. Thanks, Ian Hartman.
it's correct, then yes, he did try to fire air traffic controllers.
I mean, yeah, sure. Okay,
Okay, I'll wait. I want to see Gibbs' response.
Did
like
they
I said,
say
I'm a
anything
little critical of
crazy?
that.
I paused most of it. Basically, Prime finished his point about like, oh, Trump has, fired people, or Doge has fired people, and he said, according to one dude, they were planning on firing air traffic controllers, but they were stopped, and now Gibbs is responding.
As a conservative, I'm not a huge fan of when there's government overreach. I think the FAA was probably the worst thing that Trump's done so far, like how they've handled it. However, overall, when I look at Doge, I think it's been wildly successful. I mean, just some of these stats here that the Doge has been putting out. They put, what was it, 11 point something million like loans went out to children. What's going on with that?
Yeah,
yeah.
I did check the actual ages.
I'm not saying like, okay, we all know the YouTube kid that like reviews toys and mama.
Oh, wait. Sorry, I forgot. Lunar calls you gay. Okay. I was told to say that.
He does that often.
Run his day to day. Sure, that's fine. But why are all these loans without children? Like these are questions. We look at USA, right, or USAID. They go, they're sitting here. Well, they literally told them to burn docks. I was watching a Marine the other night, and he goes, "Hey, the only time we burn docks is when the embassies are getting run over by a terrorist organization. Why are we sitting here burning docks? It's pretty clear something nasty is going on."
Wait a minute, hold on. The Trump administration is telling them to burn docks, right? Like just now. Hold on, who? Okay.
USAID
Who said?
head.
Yeah, USAID head for the Trump administration now.
Yeah, now because he's a leftover, right? They're burning docks, and Doge is trying to go in there and look at
They're
it.
doing that under the Trump administration. You're saying this is a rogue employee that's burning documents?
Yeah, that's why they had to put a court order on it to stop it recently.
What the hell?
So you're saying that this individual is not operating under the Trump administration. They're operating like in loyalty to the Biden administration and burning documents right this second.
Yeah, I mean, you know about it. I mean, you can pull it up. They're talking about it all over. It's all over the news.
I've heard about
Burning
this.
docks.
But like as far as I know, I mean this is done in Trump. Like if they can send marshals to stop this person. If that's
Right, yeah, they have a court order out right now trying
Okay,
to
let
stop
them do
them.
that.
Court asked to intervene if your email tells USAID workers to destroy
Send
classified
the email.
documents.
Who sent the email?
I don't know. I haven't.
Let's see. Judge Carl Nichols set a Wednesday morning deadline for the plaintiffs and the government to brief them on the issue. A person familiar said it comes as Trump administration. Yada yada. Let's see. Lawsuits are mounting. Okay, they don't have the. No, we don't want to donate AP.
They already proved the Doge numbers are incorrect. Yeah, I hate people who like just cite the Doge website thing so much. I don't think any estimate, like actual estimate I've seen, has Doge saving more than like $15 billion. I'd say like that's probably the upper limit of like
Well,
what.
especially since for the past like 4 years we've had conservatives saying like, oh yeah, we can't trust the numbers that the EPA gives us on climate change because they're ideologically captured, and all of the job numbers under Biden were fake, and all of the GDP growth is inflated. But they're just gonna trust like a random Twitter website run by Elon Musk that are just like putting out numbers with no backing at all.
Yep.
Thank you for assistance in clearing out classified USAID headquarters. It begins. I don't think it actually has the name in it. Erica Carr. There you go. Acting Secretary of USAID.
Acting Secretary of USAID, a person that's I mean, well, we can check it.
I mean, yeah, this is the bureaucracy fighting back against DOGE. I mean, are you disagreeing that there's elements of
True. It's the deep state trying to fight back against DOGE, bro.
other different like groups within the thing other than MAGA, like in Trump? Like, I mean, it's pretty clear like that there are different groups that have different.
Well, I'm looking up who Erica Carr is.
Yeah.
Let me ask you though, as it's being pulled up, if you were
Was this guy like appointed by Trump or something? Is that the?
My guess is because acting people are appointments that haven't been confirmed by the Senate. So if they were
Yeah, so I guess
appointed
so.
under Joe Biden, it sure is weird that they waited 4 years to confirm her.
were ordered, if you worked at a government institution through multiple administrations, and Trump came in and said, "Prime, I want you to burn the documents, get rid of them all," would you do it?
No, I wouldn't.
You see?
Absolutely. Well, I would say this is an illegal act, right? No matter who installed it, it's an illegal act. But the claim here is that specifically it's being done to cover up like the crimes of the Biden administration. I don't believe that. I'm going to actually ask you for evidence that's happening under their auspices, right? No, it is a suspect, absolutely suspect, and they should be arrested or charged with a crime.
She is a Joe Biden hire.
Yeah.
Erica Carr was appointed
she
by
doing
Biden in January of 2021.
Is she doing it on Biden's orders or anyone else?
Damn.
else's
Well, we know
orders,
it's not Biden's orders because they're having an open investigation of the audit.
I don't think that's anything to do with what we're talking about.
Well, no, but you're implying there's something like nefarious going on. One, there is because they shouldn't be bringing the documents in the first place, right? But like that this is the deep state fighting back. So I don't know.
That's your words, not mine.
Okay, all right. I don't know what the motivation behind this is, right? So let's investigate that.
Sure. I mean, I'm down for investigation, but isn't that what DOGE is supposed to be doing? Investigating? That's their whole job, is to investigate ways to.
So let's honest question. Erica Carr was previously working in the Obama administration and was at the Office of Management and Budget. She was appointed by Joe Biden in 2021. She is now the acting executive secretary of USAID, and she sent an email instructing staff to shred and I believe the email said something to prepare for burn. Like, I don't think
it was
not
like
burning in the
It
building.
was like keep shredding, and when the shredders get tired, like use the burn bags, right? Like it's like extremely egregious.
Okay.
And I'm not the
It's unprecedented.
Here's the question. Let's just total honest.
Okay.
What could the possible motivation be for wanting to destroy classified documents?
I have no idea. I'm not going to guess at that.
Well, I mean, what they're doing it to hide it from Elon coming in and trying to like clean stuff up. It's clearly nefarious.
But to be fair,
I was gonna say like that could be the motivation, but I don't even know. I don't know if that's actually necessarily nefarious. I don't actually know.
Realistically, if you're keeping classified information away from someone who has no clearance to view it,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's
Like-
not the worst thing in the world. Now, I'd say it's probably bad to burn it, and she should be investigated by the actual people who have the authority to investigate her, which is not
Sure,
Elon
yeah.
Musk. But
Yeah, like I don't know, like I could see someone at least believing like they're doing the right and maybe even like legal thing by preventing these people from seeing documents, but I don't know. Fucking, I'm sure there'll be a House Republican committee on it, and they'll find.
I think it's sad because, and this is going to be the case when you're going on Tim Pool's show regardless, but the cards are going to be so stacked against Prime because he's going to be following the rules of engagement set by Gibbs and by Tim Pool by going on to the show, and they're just going to be talking about a bunch of things that don't fucking matter instead of like how crazy I feel bad because a lot of the times when I see people talk about Doge, I just want to like pigeonhole them into the way that I do. But like, boy, like I hope that over this 2-hour span, they do end up talking about like what kind of authority Doge even has. I haven't pre-watched, so maybe they do. But I have a feeling that it's not even going to get into that, which is really sad because I think that's the most damning thing about Doge is that they have like no legal authority to be doing anything.
Yep. It's also listen. At least there's only 2 conservatives here. They only have Gibbs and Tim. Okay. Sometimes they invite like a liberal on this show. And they have like 5.
Yeah, they have to do
They're
like the
like-
power scaling. Like if you're a level 5 debater, they have to make sure to have 20 conservatives on.
There's one potential.
I mean, it's
is there any above board normal reason? I'm asking this honestly.
It's all nefarious. Again, I agree, completely nefarious, and I'm not defending that at all. I'm saying that but I'm looking at his claim, right? Like it seems like if you're not doing that, then I take back my words, right? If you're not claiming that this is like from the Biden administration, you're not claiming that they're acting on orders like
I don't think anybody's acting
previous
on orders.
loyalties, right? Then I take it back because I have no idea what's going on. No one.
Well, I don't necessarily think it's on acting orders from the Biden administration. First of all, I have concerns about whether Biden's presidency is even legit after this AutoPin scandals come out. I mean, we'll have to see.
True.
But like, you know, the AutoPin thing. So basically, they found a bunch of documents recently that were all signed, and they have like when they were signed, we know for a fact he was in a different location. Some of them were the executive orders, some were pardons, and they were all signed.
AutoPen is an online service where you can store a signature, and then you click sign, and it'll automatically imprint the signature.
Yeah, and so now that we know that,
Is that illegal?
Well,
You know what? To be honest, Obama and Trump have both done.
I was gonna say like this is something that I think Obama first did. Like when he was on vacation, he authorized the use of it for some executive orders. And he says Trump does
But I
it
think
too.
it should be
Yeah.
illegal.
Okay.
The issue, as he pointed out, is there are questions of the location of Biden when some of these documents were signed.
And his mental capability.
I mean, that is a broader argument, but I think the
Why
actual
should it be?
legal.
Why should this be illegal? As if like.
I
So
don't know.
if somebody put the signature there without the consent of Joe Biden, that's obviously forgery. Forgery. That's already illegal. Why would it be illegal for Joe Biden to do an electronic
Yeah.
signature? That's
I don't know. People probably
that's
have
not
some
that
bullshit
crazy.
safety concerns, but yeah, I know. Like literally, I mean, you're right. Like any, if it is the case, these people are like forging documents. That's already illegal, and they're
Yeah, you
gonna
don't need
be-
any more laws to prosecute that. Forging a presidential signature on an executive order would probably be one of the most illegal things you can possibly do. So I mean, I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know what other laws we need to pass in order to prevent that.
Non-fun sweeping for the deep state. I love the deep state so much. Oh my god, bro.
Ooh.
The Biden deep state over Trump any day, bro. Unironically. Anyway.
Court,
No,
actually, the court
genuinely
is-
though, like what they call the
yeah.
deep state is actually kind of good. Like the fact that we have the amount of power that the executive has dispersed amongst 30
Yeah,
people
I know,
instead
it's
of
like-
all into one person is good. That's a good
I
thing.
know, yeah, it's like
We
literally
don't want one person to wield all of the executive law in America. That's a king.
you know, crazy belief. I don't want a king, and I don't, I think it's good that some agencies are like, semi-independent, and like the president can't just control them on a whim. Like maybe that's an important check. By the way,
Maybe.
Primes isn't bringing you with him. He's centrist on the surface and sympathizes with right wingers behind the scenes. Really? I haven't seen
I might
Prime.
be wrong. I thought Prime was a lefty. I thought,
Yeah, me too.
I've seen debates with him in it. I thought he was like a socialist.
Yeah, I thought Prime was like, if not social democrat, then like a socialist dude. Like I've seen him. I don't know. That's what I thought, but I mean, like there might be like some overlap in like the anti-establishment stuff.
Yeah,
which you
maybe
can
he's
have,
going through
but-
like the Cenk Uygur grift.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hey, Joe Biden wasn't there at the Oval Office. He was traveling when that document went out. How did he sign it through email? Like, what's going on?
Well, my bigger
Isn't that literally? I thought that was literally the point of the auto pin thing. Is like, if you can't like physically sign the document, then like you have the auto pin thing set up, which I believe. Top tier research here. I believe that's why Obama approved it. While visiting France, Barack Obama authorized the use of AutoPen to create a signature, which signed, like 3 provisions of the Patriot Act. Goddamn, what a cool use for it, bro. Awesome. But yeah,
Regardless, we haven't demonstrated like a reason why this is a concern. Like if Joe Biden
Yeah.
is in Paris and he wants to, sign an executive order and he's not in the Oval Office, so he tells one of his staffers, "Hey, transfer this real signature onto this thing that I do approve." What's wrong with that?
well, they'll say, they already believe in the deep state and everything, so they'll say, and
Sure,
Biden's
so yeah, they're
aides,
just
obviously.
forging it. Yeah.
But not to derail, to go back to where we were.
Well, yeah. So
Yeah.
back to where I was going with that. So my point is with that we have Mike Johnson on file saying that Biden doesn't know what's going on. My point with this is I'm not going to sit here and go,
I didn't look too far into this. I'm pretty sure, by the way, Biden was right about the executive order that he signed, and Mike Johnson was wrong about that. I don't care to look into it that much, but I think Mike Johnson said like Biden signed an executive order literally freezing all LNG exports, and that's just not what the executive order did.
with some sort of deep
Oh,
state
I can
Biden,
find
whatever.
out.
What I'm saying is I think that Erica Carr knows they've been doing nefarious things. They know there's doing illegal things, and this is what we call covering her ass. And she's over here burning things because she doesn't want DOGE uncovering it because they're finding all sorts of fraud all over the place.
So we can find a little agreement here,
Wait,
right?
hold on.
I've discussed this before, right? U.S.
What illegal activity? All right, so I get that they're saying like, oh, our taxpayer money is being wasted in, trans TV shows to whatever. What illegal activity is even alleged of USAID right now? Has Trump even alleged that they're doing anything illegal, or
don't
is he
think
just
so.
saying that he doesn't like where the funding's going? There's no like I haven't seen any accusations of USAID doing anything illegal at all. Why are we assuming that they're shredding these documents because they're trying to cover up illegal activity when none has even been alleged?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not sure.
USAID does have actually do nefarious things for the intelligence services. It's been used to undermine various foreign countries. Right? It goes in on the auspices of aid, but then it will carry out intelligence operations. We already know this.
Yeah. See, I think this might be the lefty anti-establishment overlap,
but that doesn't mean, of course, it wasn't actually doing aid in other areas, right? But they were used as a tool to do whatever, like the CIA.
Well, we don't know what they're doing. That's the whole
yeah.
problem.
And so if that's what they're burning, again, I condemn it completely. You'll find no defense here.
Well, so then you agree with Doge?
No, why would I agree with Doge? Hold on. No, did you forget the first half of this conversation?
Well, you brought up the Inspector
when I
General.
talked, when I talked about the Inspector General. Well, hold on. They were doing this because of Congress. It wasn't like the CIA was a rogue agency doing this, right? These were orders by the president, hey, we want to do these operations within whatever country, right? These things were approved. This isn't actually corruption.
Which things were approved?
I mean, the operations from USAID. There is no, at least to my understanding, there's no evidence that these things were done by the CIA on the CIA's own behalf, right, without the president knowing at the time.
I do think, though, I think the average person would not conclude that multi-administration or inter-admin agencies like the CIA are acting under the direct orders of the president who is currently in office, with the example being Chuck Schumer saying that the intelligence agencies have 6 ways from Sunday from getting back at you to Trump if Trump tries to change what they're doing. The implication, of course, is I think this is fairly widely accepted in foreign policy. The CIA has long-term operations that span...
Why are we talking about this now, dude? Okay.
It's cool. So every time a president comes in, the CIA gives a briefing to the president of current operations. That suggests largely that...
Oh, what's up?
What's up? What's up? How we doing?
Hi, JC.
Hey, buddy. Nice intro, by the way, on your tariff debate, Nonfon.
Thanks.
What the CIA and the other U.S. agencies are doing, they are not at the direction of the current administration.
Okay, well,
Has this been a dumpster fire so far?
It's just been riffing. They haven't actually said anything significant other than Doge is cutting government waste based, and then that's about it.
Yeah, they've gone back and forth on one point about shredding documents, but they haven't really. I don't know. Now they're talking about the CIA deep state, and the CIA won't listen to the president, and blah blah blah.
Well, as you know, that's what controls every time that something goes wrong in Donald Trump's administration. It's because of the CIA deep state. So.
Exactly.
It's all buzzwords. You don't actually have to get into the content of anything when you could say,
exactly,
well,
dude.
what about foreign coups, CIA, wasteful spending?
Yeah, see, this is the Republicans actually found the ideal solution to the how do we deal with the uninformed voter situation. They go, just lie about shit and vibe, dog. They figured it out.
We don't like this operation. Is it going against our current policies? Then we're just done with that.
Well,
right?
I think Trump was the first president to try to do that, and they impeached him for it.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that claim. So you'll have to.
What are you talking about?
Wait, hold on. Can you rewind to say
going against our current policies?
What did he say?
Then we're just done with that.
Well,
right?
I think Trump was the first president to try to do that, and they impeached him for it.
I don't.
I think he's
try and do what?
The implication, of course, is I think this is fairly widely accepted in foreign policy of current. They are not at the direct
policies. Then we're just done with that. That
Okay,
current
hold on.
administration can cancel those. We don't like this operation. Is it going against our current policies? Then we're just done with that.
Well,
right?
I think Trump was the first.
I think he's talking about the Ukraine phone call
Saying
thing.
that is he saying Trump got impeached because he was trying to cancel a CIA directive?
I think
Trump got
that's
canceled
what
because he tried to withdraw aid from Ukraine, and then there's a billion asterisks after it.
Yeah, how do you this is an asinine recalling of what Donald Trump got impeached for.
It's debate bro tier, narrowing it
Was the CIA even involved in?
I can hear the wrinkles forming in your forehead when you hold to your mic.
Involved in impeachment? I don't even know. Okay.
If the CIA was involved, it was probably I believe Trump was literally told
Probably
by
Victoria
people that
Nuland.
they were already investigating the Hunter Biden shit. He was not able to try to extort Ukraine for any more dirt on Hunter Biden. I think there were actually people who advised him on that. I don't know if it was the CIA or if it was other people.
President to try to do that, and they impeached him for it.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that claim. So you'll have to show me that it was because that Trump was trying to attack the intelligence. And to be clear, I'm not defending the intelligence community, right? Absolutely not. I mean, I'm a fucking leftist.
No,
Absolutely not.
my point is just that the Ukraine.
Yeah, see, leftist. Yeah, so it's gonna be.
Cringe.
I'm not defending the intelligence.
I'm just like you
something
guys.
untoward is going on, and it was a CIA agent who filed the initial paperwork to trigger the Trump impeachment. And interestingly, YouTube, the man's name was Eric Charmella, and YouTube would delete any video that says his name. Facebook would take down any post that said his name. This is a fact. Twitter was the only platform.
Wasn't that, God, I didn't pay that much attention during the first Trump administration. Wasn't it because we didn't know who the whistleblower was at first, and then Trump and everyone tried to fucking dox him? Am I misremembering that?
It could be. I don't know. But, okay. It is so stupid to say that Trump got impeached the first time because he went against his intelligence, like the CIA.
Yeah.
He was... And it's because, of course, Tim Pool is spreading misinformation about Ukraine. This is like he's just preying on people not remembering anything from the first Trump campaign. Like, just
and I hate to break it to you, they don't.
I know that's why this is like even remotely convincing. But like, all it takes is reading like the first paragraph of the wiki article to be like, oh yeah, it wasn't because he just went against CIA directives. It's because he was trying to withhold congressionally approved aid in exchange for Ukrainian investigation into Hunter Biden and Joe Biden for dirt on the as a part of the election. That's not...
Well, they just hedged their bets on the fact that like fewer people would check and verify than actually would. And so far it seems to have paid off for them, at least electorally. They managed to re-elect a guy who tried to insurrect the United States.
1.4 million subscribers. I mean, it's a good grift.
Hey, I'm only here to support my personal friend, Tim Pool's and Gibbs.
My very close and personal friend, Tim Pool.
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, I'm not Russian, so...
Yeah, I don't know... I don't remember the full story behind this, but I believe, that whistleblower report was like made anonymously or whatever, and Trump like immediately tried to find the identity of him.
Did you see that Tulsi Gabbard tweet earlier today? Or not Tulsi Gabbard. No, was it? Where she was like, we will, anybody who lies or who leaks information is a security threat and will be dealt with accordingly. And then like 4 years ago, she was like, I will do whatever I can to protect whistleblowers.
Trump literally like fired the person who is the head of protecting whistleblowers.
Yep.
That was like,
Yeah, any unauthorized release of classified information is a violation of the law and will be treated as such. And then there's a clip of Tulsi, or a screenshot of a tweet. If it wasn't for Snowden, the American people would never have learned the NSA was collecting phone records and spying on Americans. As president, I will protect whistleblowers.
Yeah, and then asked about the fake...
Until Donald Trump comes along.
The fake CIA whistleblower that, exposed all the dirt on Burisma and Hunter Biden. That they want to protect that one as well.
I don't know, man. Tulsi Gabbard is like the real life, like Russian
So-
femme fatale from an action movie.
Right. And this was rooted in Joe Biden, of course, engaged in an illegal quid pro quo with the president at the time. I believe it was Poroshenko.
Oh my God.
I love that one too.
True.
Space Tim Pool speaking the truth.
I'm not sure. No, it wasn't. I don't know if it was Zelensky, but he made a call and said, "What is this? What happened? I want to know what happened here." A CIA agent then blew the whistle, filing a report. The Vindmans then, I believe it was Alex Vindman, then took it up the chain. Congress got a hold of it, and they impeached Donald Trump.
Isn't it like, can we just draw attention to the fact Tim doesn't even know who the leader of Ukraine was?
True, yeah.
Like at the time. Even though like that guy is like a unelected Nazi or something, whatever the hell he says.
Isn't it
like,
crazy?
Zelensky, was it not?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I fucking thought. How fucking embarrassing.
Isn't it crazy, too, that the way that Tim Pool frames Burisma is that Joe Biden engaged in an illegal quid pro quo with firing Poroshenko, or, sorry, I don't remember if that was the guy's name, the investigator guy, saying that Biden engaged in an illegal quid pro quo there, and then when he describes Donald Trump's actions, he says, oh yeah, he called and wanted to see what was happening.
He just asked
and then
what
he leaves
happened.
out the quid pro quo part where he was threatening to withhold aid.
No, he was just checking. He's just saying, hey, buddy. Hey, Big Z.
Yeah, and also Tim Pool does believe that, like, Ukraine is corrupt or whatever. Like, he does, like, there is a legitimate reason, I think it was in Ukraine's contracts to, try to get rid of corruption in exchange for, like, Western aid. So, like, there is legitimate reason for a president to say, if a person is corrupt, to ask them to be fired or whatever. But dude, Trump wasn't doing that. Biden was doing that. Trump was trying to interfere in the election by getting dirt on Hunter Biden. Like that was the like.
For this, for trying to stop what was a CIA operation. A CIA counterterrorism director was on the board of Burisma. When Trump said, "I want to know what Biden was doing here," they impeached him.
Yeah. So
Anyway, I digress. My point was simply,
And that's why.
My point was simply,
All right.
the CIA does not act underneath the president for my entire life until Donald Trump. And only now, actually, and only to a certain degree, because he's firing him.
I don't know if that's the case, right? Again, I'm not defending the. Like, this is a weird space to be in because I can't really defend intelligence agencies, right? I know they do all kinds of crazy shit. It's from an outside perspective, like I can't tell, like at what points in time is the CIA more under control or less under control, or the other agencies,
that's a problem.
right? Well, yes, but that doesn't mean DOGE is going to solve it, right? Like that doesn't mean.
You brought the inspector generals earlier. If they were going to solve it, they've existed. How long was the inspector general's office?
Sure. How does this solve it? Right. So let's say
We open up the books and see what they're doing.
Yeah,
That's the whole point.
Yeah, we'll open up. First of all, I want.
Is that not what the inspector generals do? What? Like
No. See, we need to do that after the inspector generals do it, just to make sure.
yeah, well,
You never
we
know
gotta- we
what
gotta
like
get,
secret funding they could have slipped in there.
We got to get rid of the inspector generals so you can actually, so Doge alone can do the, can open up the.
Credit where it's due to Gibbs, though. He's doing, conservative standards. He's doing pretty decent here.
Yeah.
Gibbs is not like a bad debater. He just goes off on weird tangents that, like, I feel like sometimes his thought pattern is a little bit different from the room. But, like, I don't think there's only been a few times where I'm like, you're just kind of saying something dumb. Like, for the most part, he makes decent arguments. And he, like, even during the debate I was watching, Nonfon, he asked you good questions. Like, but my critique was more that he wasn't, like, holding anybody to account other than you and Econo Boy.
Well, like I said, I didn't even know that he did debates when I came in, so.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All agencies, everything, right? That I want. But
That's how we
we're
met.
already doing that. We already have processes to all these things. Well, whatever, right? In any case, so
Those processes aren't working. It's the whole point. Aren't working. It's the whole point of DOGE.
yeah, then we can fix these processes. This is unconstitutional. We'll get back to that in a second, okay? All right, hold your horses, buddy. We got time.
Sure.
But yeah, so like I don't know, right? Again, from outsider's perspective, like the level of power these agencies have, or sorry, the intelligence agencies have at any point in time. So it's like it's a weird space to like try to be defending them. So like I don't know, let's kind of move past it because we.
No, I agree. My point was not to ignite a whole thing on the CIA. It was just to basically point out, I'll keep it flat. The FBI, the CIA, the NSA, and all other, 14, they exist with the same leadership through multiple administrations, and that de facto means they're like, if they're
How
going
many
to
of
launch an
those
operation, it
14
will start
does he know
before
beyond
Obama
the
and
two
extend
that
after
he
Obama.
named?
And you want continuity of operations, right? You don't want them to be so like it's a tough balance there, right? Like at some point, like you want them to like complete a mission once it's started, but also we want to adjust with the changing times, with the priorities, with the will of the people. So who knows, right? Yeah.
I mean, so okay. Well, moving on. I guess, but to I guess a related thing with this. If you had told me 5 years ago that someone was going to set up an organization to cut government bloat and government waste, I would have been one. I'd have been hesitant because like I said, I'm Texan. I don't trust the big government. I don't want more, organizations, more, agencies. However, DOGE has come in and they immediately done what they said they were going to do. If you told me 5 years ago that hey, there's bloat, there's these things, I don't think anybody, left or right, would have disagreed. But now that DOGE is actually uncovering the bloat and going through these things, it's like up in arms because my Port Belly project has been canceled.
No,
and it's not helping anybody. That's what it seems like.
DOGE is not actually uncovering the bloat. I mean, so there is a level of waste within any organization, no matter what. Whether this organization.
True. He should just asked him like, what are the big things that what are the big things Doge have found that like we didn't know about before?
We didn't already know. Yeah.
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 I hate this dichotomy too. Sorry, we're gonna be here for a long time. I'm sorry. I hate this fucking dichotomy that conservatives draw between like, oh well, I like small government, and Donald Trump is actually downsizing the size of government. No, the fuck he's not. He's just centralizing all of the power within himself.
Right.
Like getting rid of the 30 people that control the government and making it one person, but the one person holds the power of 30 people.
Well,
you're
yeah,
not making
but like
government
in this
smaller.
case, what they're looking for is like because when they look at government, they see bureaucracy, and they don't want that's what they're really saying, right? If we're talking about like emotivism, they really just don't like bureaucracy. It's not government that they don't like; it's all of the layers that they have to like sift through to get shit done. So the idea that Trump can come in and just like bull through all of that and do what they want to be done, like
king.
regardless of who stands in his way, that's why. Yeah, exactly. They don't care about the level of government control. Really, they just care about how many people get to make the decision and if the one person making the decision agrees with them.
What's up? Is Prime doing well or what?
That's
Not
kind of,
really.
I kind of agree, but at the same time, there was the problem of like all of the people saying like, oh, is Trump the first dictator to actually decrease the size of government? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I would kind of agree that that's what they're getting at, but with that
Sure.
with that talking point being circulated, I don't actually think they know the difference.
I mean, that's also true. Again, like they voted for Donald Trump. We already know that they're fundamentally lacking in some aspects of intelligence. So it could also be that. I can't say for certain or anything.
Right.
Yeah, I think
So he's
Prime
not
is,
doing well. Why?
I mean, I don't think he's doing like super
Doing just
poorly or anything.
okay.
I don't know. They haven't talked about what they've gone on like 3 different tangents by now. They've really only gone like back and forth on like one thing actually related to
No, we
Doge.
were talking about Burisma 18 minutes into this Doge debate.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
True.
It's Tim Pool,
The problem
bro.
with
It's
Prime
gonna
is
get
that he's
brought
like
up.
kind of dumb. The problem with Prime is that he's kind of dumb. I don't know if
Man,
he
you
knows all
guys
the
are trying to
details.
burn all. You're trying to burn
No,
the Peace Corps
no.
Bridge. You're trying to burn the.
I'm gonna hard disagree with that. No, okay. To be clear, my only issue with Pisco is that his presentation is obnoxious. He's a very intelligent individual and he makes good arguments. Like there's nothing I have nothing against
Yeah, he's
him
just, like,
personally.
if
It's
you're
just his
not-
performance. Now with Prime, I don't think it's fair to say that Prime is dumb. I think that what you can say
Name
is that
one
Prime
thing he
didn't
ever
prepare
said, yeah.
adequately for the forum that he would be entering.
No, I'm just saying like I've never heard him say anything insightful. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, then you should watch any of his content. Okay.
I've tried.
What? You
Pisco.
get like 5 seconds in and fall asleep or something?
Oh, it's just like I've never seen him say anything insightful.
Okay.
If Pisco sees this, I don't endorse any of these comments. I love you. If Prime Kai see this, same thing. Don't. I don't endorse. These are not.
Why did you just
people.
DM me
My-
Nonfon and say,
my
haha,
words
based,
are-
yeah, Pisco sucks.
My statements represent me as an individual and not the Nonfon channel as a whole.
Now he's DMing
Everything
me
I
and
say
saying, yeah,
represents
screw him
non-functional.
and Prime too. What the hell, Nonfon? What's going on?
Private here.
Oh my god.
None.
Okay. all right.
Maybe this guy's shot. Maybe that's cool. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm kidding. I'm
choice
kidding.
words for
I'm
Calvin.
kidding. But no, there's always a level of waste within an organization, right? But is what Doge is doing, right? Like, are they reporting things correctly? Are they understanding how these contracts work? I think again and again we're seeing they actually don't, right? So there's plenty of reports of the errors that Doge has had. Reports of like them overestimating contracts, of them saying that they saved on a contract that was actually canceled under Joe Biden. There's been a whole list of errors, and then we have people just fact checking these contracts, and they're shown that yes, there's an inflated amount of savings that Doge is reporting.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to that though, all right. So anytime you have a new organization,
I mean, yeah, none of the shit
Gibbs,
coming from
that
Doge
guy's
themselves
like-
is accurate. Like they, they
What's up
just
with
lie.
Gibbs? Gibbs is just like stupid. Like Gibbs is actually like evil and stupid.
Good back and forth. We
Yeah,
don't need to
okay,
talk
sorry,
about this
Nonfon,
anymore.
I love you.
Gibbs.
I love you.
Gibbs. I still love you, Gibbs. Okay. Anyway, I don't know if he's here, but
coming in, they go look at things, right? So like
No,
there's a
no.
story with Elon Musk and Twitter, right, where they had his server farm and they go in there and they're like, we could pull this out on Christmas, and him and 2 other guys go in there and pull it up and whatever, and everybody's like, oh, look how bad Twitter's doing. Well, you know, like I mentioned Kevin O'Leary earlier, he mentions that Twitter is back to like 60-70% the stock price of what it was originally before Elon bought it. After that, that's as of yesterday, right? Of
What?
54.
Twitter is not
$54.
publicly traded.
yeah, but it's still. I mean, it still has valuations, right?
Yeah, but
like
so why would I? So it's just like way less. Like you can read way less into the stock price. But okay.
Yeah, but I don't even know. I don't know. I think the. I forget it, but yeah, it's still. I know for certain it's still the Fidelity valuation of it was like less than what it was.
I think
Market cap
I
was.
think it was 9 billion.
Yeah, it was.
Yesterday when it was
Yeah.
closed.
Not much.
And so and these added new features. You know, the site was running smoothly after a few hiccups. So when I look at Doge, this is the exact same concept.
After
You're
a
gonna go
few
in,
hiccups.
you are going to have mistakes because you are clearing things out. But then what they do is they will have the mistake and then they correct them. And y'all are saying
No, they actively have to be called out.
They also know
according-
they don't always correct them. But
According to Fidelity, it's 80% less. It's not up to 70% of its value. It's
no one thinks it's as valuable. The advertisers like the advertising on the site is so dog shit. Maybe my specific experience is anecdotal, and I also block a lot of advertisers, so maybe I see different advertising than everyone else. But just like the site is very, bad now. Yeah. And also, again, why are we just like pretending that just like getting into an org, whether it's Twitter or like the government or something, and just firing people is like efficient? Well, like, why are we pretending this retarded shit?
That would be a
my
great
God.
question for Prime to ask, but he
True.
won't. Which is why I say he's like doing okay.
Prime is not a good debater. He's like barely struggling to say a sentence.
Yeah, but that's a far cry from not intelligent or whatever you said earlier.
I think he's not intelligent.
Prime, I love you. Okay.
Oh no.
Oh, go on. All right. So, for instance, the agency once claimed to have canceled contracts ended under President George W. Bush. The agency also wrongly reported canceled an $8 billion contract when it was only worth $8 million. Right? This is not. I mean, I have more examples. This is not a isolated instance with this agency. But the thing is, though, what people like you.
By the way, like almost every contract they report as canceled was like already partially paid out. So like they'll say, "Oh, we saved like X amount of money if we canceled this contract," but like
more wasteful to just cancel.
We saved $8 billion. Remember already.
Yeah, this is not even
Doge.
It's just more wasteful to like stop the contract in the middle instead of just letting it like finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
yeah.
I'm pretty sure a lot of the contract cancelings are being like pulled back in court because like the courts keep ruling, obviously, that if the contractor has already done the work that you've asked them to do, you can't just not pay them for it. So I mean, yeah, like even the contracts that they're cutting aren't even being held up in court most times.
Yeah.
Do is that they'll talk about like the Doge number, right? And what many news agencies they'll put the Doge number. So that's like 115 billion, I think, by now. And you can take a look at the Doge wallet receipts, right? They got a website. Oh, it's the debt clock. But you can take a look at the Doge wallet receipts. They do have a website. And 115 billion. That is not a believable number. It's not, right? Because
why?
Because of all the errors that
Oh,
I'm
the
talking about.
dead clock.
So
It
these are
doesn't
what
source anything.
reporting, but there's no.
No way, Gibbs. Unironically, but did he just leave, or is that
At this point, there's no reason to believe
the
that.
wrong
He's doing
camera?
an impression.
Others.
You're saying that the
He's
Department
doing
of
an
Government
impression of
Efficiency is
Hassan.
not
Good one.
Indeed, I'd say that, right? Now, there's another
Hassan,
website,
if you're
right, that
watching
you can
this,
also take
we
a
do
look,
all hate
called,
you.
Fuck Hassan.
That
Yes,
is true.
Yes.
You can burn that bridge. Yeah.
I was gonna say we need to stop torpedoing Nonfon's connections here.
No. Prime Kai
Oh,
just
no, he
fucking
can't have
better
his
than
Hassan
Hassan,
connection.
probably.
Yeah, I could have built the Hassan bridge, bro. Yo, damn.
Bro.
Oh no! So I think you're too Western idealism, liberal, capital, whatever.
Yeah.
Hassan
We
just,
need Hassan to
moral.
react
even
to
if I
your,
had his positions, Hassan just does not give people clout. Like he will not really interact with you unless you're bigger than him or.
We
That's
need
true.
Hassan to watch your like boomer video, right? Like the video about boomers.
True,
That got a
yes.
lot. Like we need to pump it up. Go ahead.
to the URL if you need it.
I think it,
Doge.muskwatch.com. Indeed. Yeah.
MuskWatch.
Yeah. Take a look. All right.
Gotta watch out for President Musk,
Squad.
Yeah. So.
Wait, let me
this,
go to that
takes an-
website. What?
Yeah, this.
MuskWatch.
Musk?
I thought
Squad.
MuskWatch was that site where that kid doxed his private jet.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, they have a Substack as well. Oh, let's go. Seems like a hella base
No,
website.
goated.
What the fuck? What? I'm adding this to my
what's
notes.
actually
Thank you,
verified, like
Prime.
verified savings here, right? And
Maybe-
compare that to
maybe
grants.
you
Sometimes
are
grants can't be
based.
verified, but this is actually doing the comparison. You can go down to, like, let's say, like the first USAID one, right? Like, right, that large bar, like in the lower half, yeah, right? Look, yeah, put their cursor back on the bar, right? And there you go. Right?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so it says what Doge.
$244 million.
Yeah, the actual, the overestimated savings, right? So it shows the what Doge says it's saved and then what's actually saved. Now, this is an interesting website that I actually just discovered.
Wait, hold on, let's look at this website real quick. All right,
let's do that.
So the last one. You go back to the last website if you don't mind, real quick. All right. So
Oh, boy.
This says,
Wait, does
it's
Prime
115,
has
so-
his laptop?
I think they all have laptops.
Isn't that kind of
so-
unusual for Tim Pool?
Oh, they just have the wrong camera set up. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure.
My
I think
understanding
so,
was
too.
they go in
It's
without
taboo,
notes and
but-
things.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
so...
it's kind of viewed as taboo to bring a laptop with Tim Pool because
That's so fucking dumb.
fuck
but-
sources. Am I right?
Other than his
Have you
studio
used
people.
Prime?
All right, so if you hear me now, yeah, okay. So it says 115 billion saved, 714.29 per taxpayer. Let's go to this other site here. Back to the one that we were just on, if you don't mind. All right, so on this one, what's crazy to me is when we look at these things, right? We have at the bottom, you had the 254 million that was like not verified, is what you just said. I guess what you had pulled up, and we have verified cancel 8.6 and 29.9. What's interesting to me is when Dems talk about taxing people, right? They're like, oh, we got to tax the billionaires.
Does
These
it
are the
say
ones we got.
Doge
This is
has
terrible. But
included unverifiable savings of 96? But does that mean they could just put whatever number they want there?
Yeah. I have no accountability.
Bro, I didn't think it was that fucking dumb.
No, Doge has
They-
no
they-
accountability to
yeah.
anything. They can just do whatever the fuck they want.
No,
They're not even
I
like
have
legally
a question.
established.
And we have verified cancel 8.6 and 29.9. What's interesting to me is when Dems talk about taxing people, right? They're like, oh, we got to tax the billionaires. These are the ones we got. This is terrible. But when Doge makes these kind of cuts that actually save taxpayers hundreds of dollars every year, now we sit here and scream,
Okay, but it doesn't actually do it. So I'm
Hundreds
gonna,
of
so I'm gonna,
no. What?
Yeah, I don't.
so I'm gonna ignore you. You don't know what you're
What do
saying,
you mean?
right?
If
His entire point
Look,
is that
okay.
Doge is really not saving that much money. Like, obviously, like $8.6 billion might be a lot for an individual to have, but for the U.S. government, that's nothing, bro. That's nothing. I don't even know. That doesn't. I don't know how much money that is per taxpayer. I don't
This is
know how many.
I think that the scale of these numbers is hard for genuinely hard for people to conceptualize. It sounds like million sounds big to someone who doesn't understand econ,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
They don't. They
And
don't.
so- and so-
They think like trade is bad. These people.
Like if they just say it convincingly enough, we saved $8.6 billion already, and they just repeat that enough. Eventually, the Trump voters will go, whoa, whoa, yeah, like those memes where like everybody starts clapping in a room where somebody fell asleep, and then they wake up and start clapping. Yeah.
Wait, why are you
That's-
liking
that's,
the video? Why are you giving? Why are you giving
$55
people, like, what?
Because Gibson.
Nonfon, why are you
Liking it
taking
to
my-
make sure that he keeps bringing on people like Kai, or to bring on people like Prime.
I'm
Okay.
supporting my buddies. Very
Was
close and
David
personal
Pakman
friend.
ever on this show? Was
I'm
David
not
Pakman
sure.
ever on?
By the way, it's
Yeah, David Pakman
it's,
was on. I'm like 90% sure.
it's not even hundreds of
Was it,
dollars
like,
per
a long
taxpayer.
time
It's
ago?
$55 per taxpayer. to
Hell
8.6
yeah,
billion.
brother.
Yeah, they can't do math.
And then that's all gonna go away
That's
with
like almost a Warhammer
with
shit,
the
guys.
fucking tariffs, bro. That's gonna cost more than.
You can buy like
$1
6 cartons
beans,
eggs
is
with
correct?
that
Yes,
shit,
sir.
dog.
Sorry, repeat that, please.
So if this is your website's correct, right? These are the cuts you admit they've done.
Yeah.
All right. That means that's money that's been saved by the taxpayer that's being spent can be spent more efficiently. Correct?
No. It depends, right? Like, were those things that should have been canceled, right? We haven't actually established that. We're just assuming that Doge knows what should and shouldn't be canceled. Now, there could be things that you and I agree with, right? I'm sure we can find common ground on contracts.
Even if they don't, they're not something that should be canceled. It would still, in theory, save us money. Correct?
And
I don't care about just saving us money, right? I'm not a conservative. It doesn't matter to me that we simply save money. I want to use that money for like important purposes to actually run the government.
I just want to make sure this is clear. It's not necessarily a correction, but when we highlighted USAID cuts showing 244 million, that's actually just one component. That's
One component.
Yeah, so that's an OS.
That's their claimed, though, isn't it?
O&M. Right. So I just want to make sure everyone understands. There's actually a bigger list of all the different USAID cuts. Here's another for 70 million. Here's another for 12
The
million.
blue is
And- oh, I'm sorry,
their. That's their claimed, isn't he? Is he citing the claim number?
Are
it's,
these other cuts the ones that Amy Coney Barrett is a traitor for saying they couldn't do?
I wish that Prime had done a little more reading when going into this discussion, because there's in one of the lawsuits over cut, like the one that's over like basically dissolving USAID, there's a bunch of shit in there that's listed that the spending freeze basically disallowed them to do. And really the debate strategy right now should just be listing these off. Like
Well, yeah, but
okay,
that's he didn't have those ready.
yeah, I know.
He
it
has a
sucks. It would be
laptop, which makes
super
it
easy.
worse.
Yeah, I know.
Stop trying to burn my bridges, bro.
what overstate
No,
savings.
well,
Okay, so
okay, hold
they're saying
on. Like, I'm gonna be
permanent
critical of
funding is
Gibbs
1
despite
million,
him being my
not-
friend. If he makes like a, I hope that we're still friends. Like, it's not the entire calculation of the relationship. I
No,
think it's still good to be
I-
critical of people. Yeah,
No, you're allowed to be critical, bro. It doesn't. It doesn't
I
make it
am. You shouldn't be.
matter. Well, we'll see. Okay. Well.
Wait, what? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. Let me
Non-fun,
clarify.
fool.
Doge is claiming 595 million. They can verify 351 million was terminated. The overestimate
Actually,
was 244.
non-fun.
So I read
Would
that
you
wrong.
do a Tim Pool with pentuple on tariffs?
I would. I mean,
Easiest
that
thing
would
in the
never.
world.
That would never happen, but I would do it. Yeah, like
Wait, you think that if pentuple got offered a Tim Pool spot on like and the only like catch was it was you on tariffs, you think you'd turn it down just because it was you?
Yes.
well, I don't think Tim Pool would ever.
Bro, do you think he would still turn around asking for Econo Boy?
Dude, that would be a good fucking me accountable.
That would be content.
Pentuple,
Tim Pool, if
maybe.
you're watching, recruiters, the 4 viewers,
Yeah,
that's
it's
on
money.
Twitch. That's all 4 Tim Pool recruiters. Got to make it happen. That's gold.
So the first number on this Musk tracker says, for USAID, O&M follow-on contract was 350 million saved. Just for example, there are a bunch of other USAID contract cuts. This one, for instance, was 12 million. Another was 70, and another was 9.8.
This is pulling from government databases, right? So if you so there's the Doge website, the wall of receipts,
Also,
right? And on that website,
sorry, I'm so sorry. It's probably okay. So if we're just looking at spending cuts to USAID, we probably shouldn't be looking at it as how much money are we saving. We should probably be looking at what are they cutting.
Yeah.
Like, USAID does a fuck ton of important stuff. Why are we just saying like, oh, they saved $2 million? That's like so good. And then, you know, it was probably towards like soup kitchens in fucking Ghana who are like feeding malnourished kids, and they're like, oh, you know, fuck those kids. We saved $2 million. You know, like
The modern
you're looking
GOP
at what
only
these
measure
fundings are.
the only modern GOP only measures cost in dollar signs. Cost doesn't mean human life or human suffering or human misery or any of that. It just means dollar signs. So
And you should
which is
also
like so gross.
I mean, presumably they'll get to this at some point, but like, are they even actually allowed to cancel these contracts? Is that within their?
You really think
authority?
they'll get to it?
I
You think
sure
they
hope
will?
do.
Each of these kinds of contracts, it's attention to what's called the Federal Procurement Data System, right? FPDS. If you click on one of those, right, you'll have no idea what you're looking at. It's not something designed for like regular like individuals. Like click on the savings part or something. I don't know.
Which one?
Well, why does it matter if it's not designed for regular individuals?
Well, no,
Somebody
be-
understands.
no, it
Why does
actually
that
does matter. No, because the point is, people are saying that this has been the epitome of transparency. But actually, if like regular individuals can just look at this and think, I guess this is savings, I guess this works out, right? But they actually can't tell.
Have you met the average person though? They can't tie their shoes. I mean,
Well,
what's-
but
Bro.
real quick, additionally,
Did
we
he
should point
just
out
do
that
the thing?
verified
Like,
canceled-
you realize, like, if a Democrat or a lefty said that, they would get fucking crucified by MAGA, right? Like,
Yeah.
how
Oh,
dare
yeah,
you
yeah.
call us stupid? Gibbs, come the fuck on. You just, like, come on.
funding and Doge claimed funding, neither are falsifiable. The Doge tracker is saying, here's what we looked at what Elon said. We know this was canceled. That doesn't mean Elon is wrong, lying, or the numbers are not correct.
Okay.
Amen.
Well, you'll see what I'm saying. So click on that the USAID contract you're looking at before, right? Click on the bar
first
stuff.
one?
Yeah. And click the link. So you see the FPDS, right? There's that. That's what you'll find on Doge, right? You'll take a look at this. This is like fucking inscrutable. But also, there's the USA spending website. So if you look at that, right? If you go back to the other one, right? So
Oh, wait, hold on.
Take a look.
So this is what the Doge tracker actually linked.
Yeah.
It says that the Doge estimated savings is 595 million, but that's actually only 351 million, and it's claiming 244 is overstated. But when you actually click the link they provide, it says the base and all options value is 596 million.
And no, exactly. Yeah. So if you go to the the USA spending, the other link there, right?
Click for links. I did.
I mean, just while y'all
And then,
do
yeah,
this,
there you
like,
go.
Do you
So
agree
this
that
is a much more
351 million
readable-
No, hold on. This is important.
Oh my
Yeah, this is a
god.
much more readable version. So exactly what you're talking about before. There's the other options, right? Those options aren't exercise options.
Well,
so
that's his potential award
Yeah,
amount.
that's what's actually been because you have to actually learn to read this. I spent the time to actually learn to read this thing, right? So the current award amount, that's the amount that's already been
Verified.
spent. Yeah, right. Yeah, the 556, that's options.
they were gonna get.
If they exercise those options,
they were gonna.
were they? Do you know that? So you can have an extension. So you can
You
sign a
don't know?
contract.
Wait,
One
hold
second,
on, come on.
You can sign a contract, right? And then you can say, hey, I'm going to extend that contract. Have options, right? To extend that option multiple times, and I'll get additional money for that. But if you don't extend those
Why
options,
wouldn't
because they might not need the money.
Are you joking? I gotta be honest. I kind of feel like you tried pulling it fast.
I didn't try pulling a fast one. I'm literally walking you through the website. I'm not
They
pulling a
have an
fast one.
option to pull out. I do
Careful,
understand
Tim.
what you're
This
saying.
didn't work out well for you
But
last
the
time.
idea that an organization that has offered up an additional $250 million would be like, you know what? We decided we don't want it. We're not going to take it.
Never happened in
It's not.
history.
Yeah, it never happened.
That absolutely happens all the time.
What? You do know that they sell $500 hammers to the Pentagon. This was a big scandal.
Yeah.
Yeah, third-
Oh my god.
Okay, I'm
Wow.
not familiar with this one. What is this one?
Well, I mean, people say this a lot. Like the military is. I mean, there's probably some actual price gouging within the military industrial complex or whatever. But like
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, like sometimes people like hold up like, oh, look at this. You know, F-35 cup holder cost a bajillion trillion dollars, and like, I don't know. Maybe some of it's price gouging because presumably like Lockheed Martin has like a lot of market power or whatever. But also
yeah,
like a lot
they're
of
like,
it is
it's the U.S. government. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
think
that's
this-
like,
This conversation so far, I don't necessarily blame Prime again because he doesn't necessarily have the ability to guide the
being
conversation.
2v1'd as well.
Yeah, this is so pointless. Why are we arguing about like how much money Doge has allegedly saved? This is
Yeah,
doing
with
nothing.
the prompt on the screen, it is especially stupid.
Yeah, this is so, and yeah, whether or not it's a threat to democracy or not, this is wholly and utterly irrelevant. Why are we
Yeah.
like? There's so many more interesting conversations to have about Doge. Why are we arguing about the exact dollar number that they saved by cutting all of these fucking fundings illegally? Like, this is so stupid.
Because it's really
like
easy to
being
address
like,
it as a whim, I guess.
yeah, it's like if you're talking about like Donald Trump, is Donald Trump a threat to democracy? And you're talking about like, yeah, well, you know, what's his tax policy look like? It's like this is not the interesting part.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I mean, well, no, I don't know why we're no
Wait,
no
can
audience.
I say I agree and save it? I agree. I think that's a good point. Nonfon is representing his own beliefs and ideas. All thoughts are his own.
My thoughts are his thoughts as well, by the way.
No, and the DMs that he's sending me earlier, those were definitely
these aren't-
fake and not real ones I'm
I-
lying about now.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
hold on, I am perfectly
And I'm
aware.
not
I'm aware
lying.
the Pentagon doesn't pass audits, right? I'm aware
Marines
that
do.
we.
Is that the Marines?
Marines
Yeah, the
do.
Marines passed that
Are
audit.
we really? We're doing the fucking Pentagon. They can't pass an audit thing now. Kill me.
Was that the panel you were on with me?
I think
Where
so.
like
Yeah.
somebody
I don't
tried to
think
wheel
it's
that
ever
one
gonna-
out against me, and I was like, Jesus Christ, please don't.
Yeah, you know about the Pentagon. There's a McDonald's in the Pentagon. You know that.
Whoa.
That's
whoa.
actually pretty based.
Whoa, that's right.
That is a
addicted to
good
that.
spend of taxpayer funds, to be clear.
That's right.
Crazy.
Good song.
Yeah,
okay.
I am aware that the Pentagon gets overcharged all the time, right? And other agencies actually get examined and run in a different manner, right? Like the Social Security Administration doesn't have the same amount of waste and bloat as the Pentagon. We can understand these things
Well,
are treated
Social
differently.
Security
Oh my
But go ahead.
God! People
Oh.
think these fucking audits are waste and oh my. Oh, bro, read the report. Read the report. It's by the Defense Report. You can read it. You can read it. It's not. They give the causes. They give the causes. They don't say, "Oh, it's la waste. It's la fraud." You can read the report. They give the causes. It's outdated technology. It's technology that's hard to evaluate. It's an aging workforce, and it's regulations that separate power, which are good, right? You don't want the same people to like control one database to have the keys to another. Like you want it to be separated.
yeah.
So that requires more money. They give the reasons. They give the reasons, but people are like, "Oh, the Pentagon just like lost all their money. They don't know where it is. Oh, that's not shady." That's fucking retarded. People don't. Oh my God, bro! You can all read the report right now. You can pull it up right now.
So
find it
what is
for you.
your response to the fact that like most people don't want to do that?
Well, that's the death of democracy. People are too retarded.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Never mind. I guess there is no answer. We lose.
Wait,
GGs.
no, for real though. Wait, how do I communicate to the average person? That,
Yeah,
like,
that's the question we
actually-
have to answer in 4 years.
Yeah, we can't.
Okay.
Okay, good to know. Okay.
Like this is.
I'm glad that we're
What?
giving up
I'm
already.
right. Why are you booing me? I'm right.
No, you're not. I mean,
We don't even
yeah.
talk. We don't even talk
you're
about.
only right. You're only right as long as we believe that you're right.
Okay.
We don't even talk
Hard
about this right
question,
now.
like,
we need to talk.
The-
We need
Well, I
to
believe that I'm right.
not have a meta conversation about how to communicate with voters. Okay. We need to communicate with voters via reacting to video about Doge.
True.
Okay.
And being quiet and not burning bridges.
useful.
Hold on. You realize I can't let this one go. Just you know with the Social Security, if I invested my tax dollars that I spent that go towards Social Security, the same amount exactly in the S&P like fund or mutual fund, my return would be drastically higher. You understand? That?
Bro, I mean, number one, people did the whole half the point of Social Security is that people just don't do this. Like typically people are just bad at saving for retirement, okay? And that's why we mandate that people save for retirement. And if you, by the way, we could just let Social Security invest in the S&P 500. It is kind of dumb that they can only buy treasury bonds. You could just let them invest in other like safe assets that grow faster. And
I know.
it'd be solvent much longer. What the hell?
Right. Then like what you're getting.
Well,
So
that's kind of. I mean, I'd be okay with privatizing Social Security, but I'm like,
Oh, evil, evil.
people don't like. What? How's that evil? Australia has like a privatized pension system. And it works
Listen,
pretty
there
well.
are probably
I was talking
models
to an
of
Australian friend, and
privatizing it.
I explained to him. I was talking to an Australian friend yesterday. I explained to him Social Security, and he's like, "What? That's fucking retarded. Why would you only do it in bonds? Why is it like funded like that? Like And it's
Was
kind
there
of
a reason
true.
ever given for the bond restriction? Like, I'm not familiar. I'm not an
Well,
econ
I mean,
guy.
it's safe.
as safe as possible. So bonds are like more safe than stocks or other assets because they're backed by like the might of the United States government, which people have a lot of confidence in. Right? It's not going to collapse. It's not going to. They will be able to act on the bond. So
Yeah, the S&P 500
they have a
probably
lower,
could
they have a
fall into
lower rate
that,
of
right?
return, but they're much safer. They're considered much safer as an asset, and they are.
Like, it's like
Yeah,
S&P 500 is like pretty damn safe, right? Like you're like
Well,
it's like an average of like 8% a
yeah.
year or some shit.
Well, you never had a case with the bonds. You never had like a 2007. You never had a Black Monday. You never had like a
Yeah.
black.
Okay.
So
true.
Nonfon, on a scale of like 1 to 10, how does it feel? Like the rage scale 1 to 10, how does it feel to be reacting to a video with the biggest derailer in all of politics?
Who is it?
It's me.
I
No,
mean,
it's not you.
It's Tim. Like they should not be talking about
Wait,
fucking.
me?
I mean, if they want to talk about Social Security, they can talk about Doge is is Doge gonna find fraud in Social Security and the dead people supposedly on Social Security? But yeah, we're not. I don't know why.
By the way, I posted the report of the Pentagon in the. Well, it's not only the Pentagon; it's like 27 other agencies or something. But like, or like 7 other agencies maybe. I don't. Okay, no, 30 agencies it seems like. But yeah, it's just like not. You can read this. This is not too long to read. On page 4 or 5, they give their reasons.
Bro,
They give their root causes.
16 pages? That's a long.
I don't know,
20 pages, 16
There's like
pages.
barely any
Wait,
pictures too.
remember when Pentapple
exactly.
thought like a 20-page paper?
We
is,
know
like,
Trump
really long?
hasn't read this. There are no pictures.
No, so that's
Yeah,
why.
if-
No. But every time someone says like, "Oh, the Pentagon lost their audits for like the bajillion time in a row, and they lost a bajillion $billion," that's what they're referring to, and they give the causes. It's never just like, "Oh, we lost all the money" or something, right? You can read this here, section 2.1 on page 5. They give the root causes. They give it. You can just read this, but they don't. They never do.
Too long. 5 pages in, no pictures even.
Yeah.
What the hell?
And also, some of the
Security,
agencies
bony
passed their audits. Why does no one want to talk about that? But
Yeah.
okay.
Oh yeah.
No, you don't acknowledge the
their
good.
money. You're like,
People don't save that way. We have to actually design a system for people. I wish people.
True.
why is that our problem? Like,
Why is that a problem? This is
Why is that? Oh, I forgot.
Gibbs.
Gibbs. Yeah, I forgot. Gibbs is just evil and like doesn't want anyone on welfare ever. He'll just say like that's their problem that they didn't save, or like that's the single mother's problem that she can't find the job. And
We did meet on a
Feed her
panel
child.
where he said he wanted to drone strike migrants on the border. We'll say that.
Yeah, Gibbs absolutely hates any form of welfare,
Including
so
women
that's-
and children.
because I care about a fellow man.
He
and
did
woman. That's why.
so do I,
I-
but
that's what I'm doing.
This is the difference between, I guess, you and me on this, right? We voted for Doge to come in and clear this stuff out, right? We see these things as wasteful. We see these times like.
By the way, they can't. Social Security is
Oh,
law.
it's
By the way,
wasteful.
Doge can't just get rid of Social Security. There's no.
Yeah,
they have
and
no
how is it
authority to do
wasteful?
that.
What's waste? Come on.
Well,
Why do
Nonfon,
they
did you
never,
ever
like,
think about the
do
fact
it?
that they voted for it? Forehead?
They voted.
True.
You can't vote for the executive branch to do things that Congress has the authority to do.
Yeah, but like democracy, they voted for it. So like.
Yeah, you guys
why are you
lost.
complaining?
Don't you get
Yeah.
it?
This is why the
I
wait,
didn't,
Oh
I didn't
my
consider
God.
that we lost and everyone hates us. My bad.
Yeah, they voted for it, dog.
I can't tell you how many times I know people that are working 3 jobs. They're going, "Why am I getting taxed so much?" And it's going to pay people that are just living off the teat of society. And Doge is probably the
True.
answer to that. They're going in and clearing stuff out. And even by your numbers, right? Let's just take your numbers at the 351 million mark.
Literally, what has Doge done anything related to taxing and like welfare spending? I like. Maybe, I don't know.
have no
Maybe they'll
idea.
get to it, but also, I don't understand when people. Doge doesn't have the authority to do any of this shit, man. Like it doesn't. That's all welfare spending, and unless there's actual fraud, which presumably there's a little. I'm again, any system's gonna have some amount of fraud. Doge doesn't have the authority just to like get rid of this welfare spending or to change tax policy. Like,
And here's the problem too, is that there's no like, since Doge isn't even like the thing that we're talking about really, like the Department of Government Efficiency is something to update computers or whatever. There's no oversight to what Elon is doing because Elon isn't a government anything. He's a senior advisor. He shouldn't
Yeah.
be doing all of this, and we don't even know what Doge, as it relates to Elon Musk, even is. So like, the fact that we're talking about like doing all of this for government transparency, but then we don't even know who's doing it, and they're not beholden to anybody, and there's no oversight, and they can just post fucking numbers on Twitter and hope that all of the people just lap it up. This is crazy. Like, and
That's
we
kinda
have no way to
scary,
fact check
yeah.
anything because there's no facts anywhere. Like, this is
Yeah, these people
Yeah.
just like. Yeah, if Biden claimed something, they would never believe it. But Musk can just like make up a number, and they're like, "Yeah, you see, he's."
Yeah, they were
efficient."
literally claiming that like the job numbers and the GDP numbers were fake under Biden.
100%. Oh my god! Yeah, we have official reports with published methodology that go over everything, and they're published by all news organizations that they think are like fraudulent and hacking or whatever. But now, like, yeah,
You guys
Musk can
realize
just follow the
empiricism
numbers.
doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, what we should have done is been like, we saved $8 million. That's all you gotta do.
I don't. I mean, yeah. I'm sorry, but kind
Biden
of. Yeah,
shoulda lied
that's where
more.
people are at right now.
That's a ton of money.
Well, hold on. This is interesting. I'm trying to figure out what these phrases actually mean?
There's a glossary that you can check out, right?
So, okay, we'll do that.
Oh my God, are we gonna spend?
Asking for help with reading comprehension.
Are we? They're gonna spend.
Clip it.
They're gonna spend 20 minutes trying to figure out how to fucking read this website, man. Oh my
Let me ask your perspective on this. Current award amount, that means they did give 352 to this organization. Wouldn't that then mean that there is still yet to be paid 250 million?
Not only if they exercise those.
We don't know the terms of the contract, so you can't make that assumption.
Yeah, and
if
they can't make the assumption either.
If they said that, if they say currently we have given 350 million to them, the argument would be we didn't actually save 350 million. It's inverted. The Musk tracker has it backwards. Elon Musk saved us 250 million dollars because they've already given 350 million to this organization.
But I'm saying those options haven't been exercised.
That's the savings. So here's the issue. Right.
I don't know.
Brain hurty. Math ain't mathin'.
So let's put it this way: if an organization, let's just round these numbers up so we'll make it simple. USAID, let's just say government organization gives $600 million contract to be paid out. Elon Musk says terminate that contract. They say, okay, we've already given them $350 million. You can't save money that's already given away. However, the remaining 250 that is yet to be dispersed when the contract is canceled, that 250 stays in the account. If that is correct, it appears, then the number is overstated because Elon is including in the savings money they already gave away.
I think wasn't that Prime's?
Yeah. My point is this: the DOGE tracker has the number backwards. When it says terminated funding 351 and the overstated savings is 244, that's incorrect. It's
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
right. So the actual savings is the money we did not give.
I see what you're saying.
The money we already gave is gone.
Yeah, fair enough. No, I got you.
If that's what it means, otherwise I'm trying to understand like
I see what
are they saying here?
Yeah.
Unless it
Fair enough.
unless it means the current award amount is the government saying we will over the next 10 years give you 352 million, and then potentially we could give you more if that's what it means.
Yeah.
Why aren't
So,
we looking
here's
at the
what it says.
contracts
I
that they canceled?
The current award.
No, don't worry. They'll get to it. Surely, eventually, one day we'll see.
How much time
One
have
day.
they wasted talking about how they can't understand the website?
About a half
40,
hour.
Awesome.
36
Awesome,
minutes.
dude.
Yeah. Okay. So your website says it backwards. It's actually worse. This is a point for you. You should do this. The current award represents the amount that has already been awarded to a recipient. It includes obligated funds, meaning the government has committed to paying this amount under an existing contract or grant. Okay. So it doesn't mean they already gave it. Potential award represents the maximal possible funding that could be awarded over the life of the
Okay, so
contract
he
or
just
grant.
said something. He could have read further, and it was totally
Oh
false.
my God.
A sentence later.
Both the current award amount and any
Why?
future options,
Why is this
modifications or extensions that
retard?
may be
Oh,
exercised.
this shit's giving
So,
me a
if
migraine,
they did not
lads.
give
You
the
enjoy
50
yourself.
The problem then
Have
becomes
a good night.
You too, buddy.
Love you.
how much did they give? Did they give 921,000?
Obligated is what they paid. So
Okay.
yeah.
So then I think it's arguing semantics. Elon's going to cite the high.
What?
Stop talking about it.
Wait, it's so.
Yeah, bro,
oh
I
my
can
God!
make up
Wait.
a number, and you maybe you fact check me, but then it's just meaningless. I can just make up my own number. You stick with the facts, and that's it. It's meaningless. What do we
Also,
do?
okay. They should actually be, discussing whether this is legal and also whether the spending was good in the first place. But it's not semantics. I wouldn't classify it as semantics to argue over factually how much money has Doge actually saved. That's not I don't think that's a semantical argument. I think that's more material than that. But okay.
Yeah, it is.
higher
So
number.
I have a specific example. No, one second, just clear. Obligated is what's promised, and then outlay, I think, is actually what's been paid. Hopefully, I might get that back. I'm just learning this literally last night. But you look through the glossary, and it'll tell you which one's which. I don't want to give false information, but go ahead.
So yeah,
Why
I
are
brought
you-
this up
yeah, why are you
with
saying
you the other day. Is that in San Antonio we're having exactly the situation you just described, Mr. Poole. Is in San Antonio they just shut down a migrant facility, right? It's an overflow facility that's been used twice for 3 months total, I think, whatever. It was costing us $15 million a year, and they canceled the contract, right? So it's potential loss, whatever. It was $15 million a year. I think it's 200. So it equals out 215 million total a year, or something around that, and then it equals about 1.1 billion since 2001. And this nonprofit's posting record profits and all sorts of crazy stuff. And so it's gotten bipartisan support locally because it's barely
Wait, this nonprofit is posting record profits.
been used.
I
And
mean, they can make record amounts, but they're required to
Revenue,
reinvest it
yeah.
or whatever.
and so basically they canceled the contract, and
Wait, what do you mean? Last year it was 0. Now it is also 0. So it's a million times higher, right? It's literally a million times higher.
Yeah, the record that they hit was the most consecutive years with zero profits.
Right.
It's exactly the criteria you're describing in this kind of case. Is we're going in there,
Yeah.
cleaning out bloat. Like this
Yeah,
facility
sure.
isn't being used. Why would
I
we
love
keep
it.
funding it?
So when Tim's ready, hopefully, sorry, go ahead.
I think our original assessment of what this was correct. They have not yet awarded. Okay, so awarded means we signed a deal. So you say to me,
Yeah.
if you give me $1 million, I will write a beautiful poem for you.
Yeah.
And then I say, okay, and but I want more than one. And you say, then we'll do this. After the first year, we'll include an option for me to make another poem for you for another $1 million, and then another year we'll do this again. The question is, who has the option rights is the important thing. If the recipient of the funds says we want the option. that means that money is basically committed. If the U.S. government says we want the option, which tends to be more likely in most contract deals, the person paying will say we want to retain the option to re-up or cancel, as opposed to the person doing the work. So it would seem that the thing about this is obviously Elon's going to stress we saved all of the potential money, but if it was an option held by the government, then I suppose it's semantics. It really is
I
semantics.
don't know that it is semantics, though, right? So, like, I just brought up the facility, right? So that's $215 million a year, right? It's been used, what, like 6 months since 2001 or 2021, right? It's since 2021. That's $1 billion, right? Okay, let's just take 6 months out of that.
Libs mauling that Elon is unelected. Truth.
All right, like 8 months. I don't care.
I mean, there's
Yeah,
plenty of
genuinely,
libs.
yes.
Like... oh wow, thanks, Testicle Johnson. I thought this was gonna be.
You think a year out.
Tim, if you could pull up Endeavors San Antonio,
Yeah,
that's what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
so that's like let's just say they take out a full.
What specifically about it?
So okay, it's basically they're spending $15 million a month to keep a cold facility open, and they're saying that's what it costs to open this, like bring it back at any given time. We have to have $15 million a month, whatever. So they shut it down. So that's $215 million. Let's just say they had it open, they used it for a full year, which they didn't. But let's just say for
Oh, you're talking about the facility that's $18 million per month.
yeah, $18 million a month. That one, yes. Sorry, I thought 15 should be 18. This one, exactly. This one.
Right. It was reportedly shut down because of inhumane conditions or something to that effect.
But no,
No.
because it wasn't being used.
Because of inhumane conditions or something.
It was shut down because it wasn't being used.
There were numerous. The reason it wasn't being used was because I don't know. This is what I'll look it up. But apparently,
I haven't heard anything about that. I'm local, but I will
the
say
conditions were considered to be.
well, that makes it
subpar.
even worse. But I mean, without even factoring that in, right? Let's just say for it wasn't subpar, and let's just say it was used as it was supposed to be for 1 year, right? Full year, 250. It's like $250 million for a year, right? That's a lot of money to the average taxpayer. And when you save that that's $1 billion in 3 years. Like you act like $1 billion in 3 years.
Hold on.
For one closing
No.
isn't
No.
a
That's not that much money for U.S. government again. But
No, we can't judge these in the sense of an individual's like pocketbook. Yes, all this.
Absolutely
No,
we can.
no, we actually can't because in all the numbers we're talking about government are massive. To fund anything, it's a massive amount, right? So that in itself doesn't tell us whether something is worth spending on or not, right? Whether you should cut it or not, right? We actually have to judge these on the utility that's being processed.
Sure,
So
and this is a prime example of waste.
So I don't know. So I'd like to. No, it's not a prime example. So Tim, I haven't heard about the inhumane.
Yeah, let me fact check that. I could be
I'm not sure about that.
So yeah. So well, I'll wait for that kind of evidence.
I think that was
However,
one of you
I
go
Okay,
did
no,
see-
we got it. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah. Since March 2024, HHS has paid $18 million per month to the facility in Pecos, Texas, used for housing unaccompanied migrant children. That was previously the center of reports of poor conditions. That's what they said.
Okay. Well, so
I don't know if that's the reason why they stopped using it.
so
Okay, well, look at the sentence before. As a result, this is the big controversy, right? As a result, family members' tax portfolio investments grew from $8.3 million in 2020 to $520 million in 2023.
So what? Yeah,
that is sus.
Yeah, no, it's not at all. It's not all sus. They got money from a contract. It's not all sus. Why would that be sus? Doesn't make
one,
sense.
they shut down
Nobody's
because
using it.
No, hold on. We understand. Like I know, Tim, you understand. Like migration flows, right? Migration flows aren't constant. So there are sometimes, like, and we've seen this, right? When migration has skyrocketed, right? And
when Joe Biden's in office.
I love you, Gibbs. So that it's skyrocketed, right? And we've had a ton of facilities filled up to the brim, right? To the point, and you might remember this, Tim, when there was within Texas, right? We were housing migrants under a bridge. Because yeah, exactly.
Allen.
Yeah, it was entirely too much, and so we didn't have enough facilities. So what this is doing, right? So yes, this was an empty facility, but we understand that we don't know when those migration flows are going up. They were being paid to keep that facility open, right? So when it does go up, we have a place to put the kids. And if you want to complain, right, about the bad treatment of migrants, oh, I agree, right? We treated them far worse than I think anything this facility
no,
be done.
I don't wanna-
I was gonna say it's so funny to me that they're kind of they're all bringing up this like inhumane treatment thing, and none of them were like, hey, wait, maybe it would just be maybe mass deportations might not be able to be, super humane if this one fucking detention center can't even treat migrant children correctly.
Only
Goddamn,
that, but-
like.
Yeah, they're talking about like, oh, look how inhumane we're treating these migrants, but then they don't look at, well, how inhumane do you think it is to freeze all of the federal funding that's like literally stealing food out of starving children's mouths? Like, what? We froze all federal funding on January 20th. Like, it's mentioned in lawsuits that like that was literally going directly to like food shelters that were like feeding malnourished children, and that like. The reason that the lawsuit started is because the federal workers were like, okay, do we just keep doing this and potentially go into into debt, or do we just let these kids starve? It's like talk about fucking inhumane. Oh my god.
Are you mad J6ers are pardoned? Yeah.
Yes, 1000%. Almost one. It's probably one of the worst things that Donald Trump has done.
We remember the reports, right? We remember the reports of what happened to those migrants. We remember the sexual abuse. We remember the freaking guy who was not castrating them, but he was like sterilizing women, right? There was a doctor who was sterilizing women who were trapped in the immigration jails before. We understand. Yes,
Cry
the
more.
federal government
Okay.
treats people badly, but specifically talking about this contract is actually useful because we want to hold that.
I don't want to dive too much into immigration because that's not.
Oh no, but you brought this up.
I will.
Immigration's effectively zero now, right?
Well, that's where I was going to go with that. Is we have had a record number of catches, right, on the border. They're having record numbers of not gotaways, right? Because one, as Abbott went down there and built the wall, and two, Trump has like backed them up, and it's proof that hey, this is how it relates to Doge. It's proof that the government could have stepped in and done these things if they had wanted to, right? And so they
I think I don't know. I need to build the Pisco Bridge.
I love Pisco.
I don't actually think it's I think Gibbs is partly correct in that crossings have gone down, and that's because Trump has stepped in. I think a lot of the ways that Trump has stepped in, even on the border, has been probably not legal. I think even Biden's executive order to close the border or whatever was probably illegal.
Probably illegal, yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know why we act like if Donald Trump said like, yeah, if any illegal migrants cross over the border, I'm gonna kill you and your family. Like, yeah, that's probably going to lessen border crossings. That's not a good policy. Like, what?
Wait, what would
just
Biden's
because migrants are
be
afraid to
illegal?
come to the U.S., that doesn't make his border policy good.
I think Biden.
Why
So
would
Biden's
Biden's
executive
be
order
illegal?
that he passed after the bipartisan border bill failed. I believe it's just not. The president doesn't have the authority to say we're not going to process asylum claims. I don't think. And that's what the executive order did. It said like beyond a certain number of crossings, the president can just like shut down asylum. I don't think that's within his authority to do.
And by the way, during Trump's address to the joint session, he literally said that he doesn't need any border legislation because he's there. So not only are we going to just continue like the only policy that Donald Trump has is just like making migrants so scared that they won't come over the border, and he's already conceded that he's not even going to try to fix anything. He's literally putting a band-aid solution on it because the GOP only cares about winning elections. They don't give a fuck about the border. They care that it's a good election issue, and they want to keep it a good election issue, so they're never going to let Congress pass a goddamn thing to fix the admittedly broken asylum process.
Also, Doge should audit the Fed and force them to target NGDP. That might, if they do that last part, maybe that'll be based.
Island is
Maybe.
unconstitutional. Why is this dude a mod?
Localist is just here often. He was one of the non-fun OGs, so that's why he's a mod. But he is really stupid.
Wait, why do you think the EO is illegal? About Biden's,
because
border.
Cato has a thing on it. Because it says we don't have to process asylum claims, and that's just not really. I don't think the law clearly states that the right to apply for asylum is irrespective of status and whether or not a designated point of arrival. Biden doesn't care about it yet. Impose a near complete ban on asylum for anyone across the border.
It would be illegal potentially, but it wouldn't be unconstitutional. And if conservatives gave a fuck about this issue, they could totally just get rid of that law in Congress, but they never will.
Yeah. Yeah, it's only illegal because Congress hasn't legislated the authority for him to do it. You know what would have legislated the authority for the president to shut down asylum?
Yeah, I wonder.
Was that bipartisan border bill that we had that Trump didn't like? But anyway,
the fleece, because they could have shut down the immigration because Trump's done it, and then we could have shut down, and then we hold on.
Do we have a caravan coming? Do we have a caravan coming right now?
Because the wall's up.
Because the wall is up. The wall hasn't changed.
true. The wall. As soon as Trump got into office, the wall.
Thank God Doge is keeping all the migrants from coming over the border.
Did Trump suddenly build a massive amount of wall at the time since? Oh, okay. So but even when that was happening, we saw massive amounts of people trying to.
And we also saw in the areas where the wall was built in locations like Eagle Pass, it went from 1,500 a day to 3 in a week.
Yeah. So your point is, yes.
So what I'm saying is we can stop it, and then we do stop it, and then we have these facilities.
All you're saying that migrants can't become untangible, right? They're not X-Men. They're not Kitty Pryde, right? They're not untangible. And so when they find a wall, right, they try to go around that wall, or they try to look for.
How's it been stopped completely then? Because we do have people coming up here. Like I don't understand what your argument is here. It's like not a good one.
Stop completely. I'm saying that if there's another. I keep hitting the mic. I apologize. If there's another crisis that happens, right, like within some Central South American country, right?
We're going crisis. It's a crisis right now.
Yeah, but oh my God, dude! Like migration comes in waves. We know this, right? It comes in different ways under each administration, right? Under the Obama administration, the Trump administration, the Biden administration, and then again during the Trump administration, there's going to be another surge. It happens all the time. And when that happens, the question is, what do we do about them? Do we actually prepare, right? Do we understand like context? Do we understand history? It's like, oh well, last time this happened, this was a huge problem. We don't have any place to put these guys. goddamn kids, right? So, or can we have a place available at that time? It's actually a tiny amount of money.
Well, two things to this objection, real quick. One, we've stopped it. It's proven we can stop it.
Hold on. What does we've stopped it mean, though?
Texas government, and then on top of that,
there are other places to go in.
But yeah, what Trump has done nationwide, we've seen record numbers of catches nationwide. We proved we could stop it. Two,
that doesn't stop people from coming.
I didn't even factor in what Mr. Poole here brought up about the inhumane things. But if it was inhumane, that's definitely one that should be shut down.
All our
two,
prisoners as
why
humane.
are we gonna have a facility that we clearly didn't need because we could have stopped it from the get go?
Yeah,
and then when we get there, it's not even used. How can you justify
You're
$18 million a month to
stating
bring
that.
something from
And-
coal
and then-
to whatever? Y'all bring up. We
Yeah,
don't know.
sure.
What I do
You're
know is I know how
stating
businesses work, right?
And
And when I
this
look at a
isn't the
business,
business.
Oh, boy.
but
This is government.
No, the family endeavors, right? Whenever I look at a business and they're charging $18 million a month, they'll keep a facility open because they got to keep it from cold storage. All right, what do you have to do? Okay, maybe you have to replace medicine. Okay, how much can that cost? Let's just say it costs $1 million to replace medicine.
not just the
let's say how many
It's the
employees are you
potential
paying that are you doing this? Let's say another $3 million.
Why are
for
we
all these
doing
employees. There's
napkin
no way
math
you
to
can
see how much it would cost to keep this facility open? This is so stupid.
I know.
justify
Also-
$18 million a month.
One,
It's the fleece. It's corruption.
Also, there's the okay. I'm not going to necessarily go through and defend a contract. I don't know the exact details of, right? But there's also the potential of that space, right? So not only are they
Potential?
yeah, because if they weren't
Are we
using
spending money on the potential?
if they weren't, yeah, actually no. Of course you are. Of course you are. Why wouldn't a business charge for that, right? Right? If Tim,
insanity.
sure, if Tim is told that someone wants to use his studio, right? But they're not sure when. But they are going to use it at some point.
How much time are we going to spend litigating this one fucking
Time,
contract?
right? It seems like okay, well, I guess I'll let you use the
2
studio.
hours.
But
Not even litigating whether or not it was legal for them to cut it or whatever, but just is it good that they
I could be using this to do work. I could be using this to make money, right? So what I'm going to charge you for this is the price of the studio maintenance of itself and what I might be able to make, right? Like a nominal rate for what I might be able to make otherwise. Otherwise, he's losing money because he doesn't know when that contract's actually going to come in. Obviously, you know
Why
business,
say
right? You know
nominal,
business, so you know this,
yeah, but
right?
they're overcharging.
Words.
Right.
I mean,
I respect the point you're making.
Bringing in immigrants into
It's
the
the end of
Pathway to corruption. Wow.
If non-citizens,
Embarrassing. Sorry.
If
It is
non-citizens,
embarrassing. I would be embarrassed.
speaking of corruption, Doge, by the way.
That's embarrassing argument you're making, but whatever. So
if non-citizens can vote like they proposed in San Francisco and New York, and I believe in Connecticut,
keep going, Tim.
there's
I'm
no
gonna go
democracy
to
at all.
Pat.
okay, great. Let's talk about Doge.
They're not going to be done by the time he gets back.
Now Doge ending our democracy. Right? Let's talk about the sure, of course, right?
I was Doge ending democracy.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that. I'm sorry.
Okay, wait,
So,
no,
the reason
please.
why
Oh, he chose the worst time. Gotcha.
I think that Doge is ending our democracy, specifically because it's doing an end run around our own.
Oh my God, we're back to the topic.
process.
Oh my
You
God.
did mention
Goated.
that when we opened the show.
Okay, yes, and they're talking about how much money they're talking about is Doge doing things constitutionally, legally, following process and procedure. Yeah.
The question we then came to was, this gentleman here voted for it, and Trump won the popular vote, and now Trump isn't doing what he promised he'd do.
Oh my
And I got a
God.
question. Hold on.
How's it not democracy, though?
Sure. Hold on. Well, then let's get that right. So there was Reuters.
They already we already talked about this earlier because it was the first thing they went over. Obviously, if 51% of people vote to have a fucking king, that's still not democratic. Obviously,
they voted for it.
if you vote to do something, yeah, but
What? He ran
can
on
vote.
it and the people voted for it. So how's that not democratic? What?
because you're breaking other
No, bro,
democratic
I
principles.
mean,
So,
these people don't.
yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Obviously, you can democratically vote for something that then breaks other democratic principles. This is
No, it's also it's
right?
democratic
Talking about-
also to uphold the checks and balances and
yeah.
do stuff legally through the process. That's what democracy is about, right? You don't just do everything through the executive and in a rush. That's probably
That's
that.
still so lame, and it doesn't look good for
Americans broadly
optics,
supported the idea of-
especially when you have to
Yeah.
try.
Size of federal government, with 59% of respondents to our voters/Ipsos poll completed on Wednesday saying they supported that goal. Right?
Why are we
That-
doing this? Oh my God.
What are they
What's
talking
that?
about?
They brought it back to Doge and they repeated the same thing where they said people voted for Trump to cut the budget and therefore it's democratic and not a threat to democracy. And we all moved on it. And now Prime is saying
Well,
actually
regardless, okay. This is gonna help Gibbs and help Tim Pool, but it's also it's so fucking stupid. Why would you frame Doge as a threat to democracy? It's
I don't know.
it's irrelevant of democracy. It's like asking oh yeah, if I killed a person, how is democracy gonna react? It's that's not the concern. The concern is the laws and the morality there. It's not like Doge cutting government funding has nothing to do with people voting. I don't know. It's such a stupid topic.
How many voters?
No,
how
I
many people
kind of
voted?
agree.
I
I kind of agree.
don't know.
Well, that's important because we did a poll in November and found the majority of the country supported Doge.
It said, hold on, it said 50, well, I'm saying, it said 59%.
Of how many people?
I don't know. We gotta,
Right, so let me tell you.
We're gonna look at the poll. That's fine.
70 plus million people.
Why does Tim Pool care about the
Well,
survey
A
size?
poll is an opinion.
Hold on. Hold on. We're gonna talk about what they voted for. Let's.
I wanna talk about
that's what I'm getting. Okay. Well, then that's what I'm trying to get to, right? So 59% of response to our Ipsos poll.
Also, Sample probably knows the name for this phenomenon. It's if you ask people do you want to cut the budget, And they'll all say yes, and then it's like, do you want like less benefits? They'll all say no, and like they're like, Americans they're too stupid to
questions. Like the classic example is healthcare, right? It's
Yeah.
like, do you support single payer healthcare? And people will be like, I don't know. Do you support Medicare for all? And it's like 70. It's like Assad margins. It's like yes. And then do you support like the government taking over private insurance and being the sole provider? And it's like no. It's like okay.
This Wednesday, said they support that goal, right? But, right, then they asked, right, so how about the way Trump is going about it, right? In terms of firing tens of thousands of federal workers, right? And then 59%, exactly that, say they opposed the way that Trump is doing, right? So people, no, you're correct. That people voted for cutting government, right? Like 70 million or whatever the number is, right? Voted for cutting that. But
Or Elon Musk to do it specifically.
no, hold on.
Yes.
They voted to cut waste, fraud, and abuse.
So,
No,
let's pause real quick.
no.
To address your point, Elon Musk for a year said we will have Doge, we will go in, we will cut these programs, we will fire people. Trump came out and campaigned on how they were going to do it, and people voted for him. You can argue the masses are ignorant and didn't pay attention.
Just to prime your point real quick before you go on, because this has been a point that I've heard on in the debate sphere, and it's mainly like a lot lately, right? And it's that all these Republicans got bamboozled. They can't believe what they voted for. What is Musk doing? And I'm sitting here going,
The argument. He's not making that argument.
I know, yeah.
I'm a Republican. I talk to Republicans daily in my real life. I talk to Republicans in the online space. I talk to people. I haven't met a single Republican that just going, I hate it. Like, you know, there's some like me go, I have some concerns about like what's going to happen next with the new agency and if a Dem gets in charge. But like, because we don't like trust big government, right? But like overall, I haven't met a single Republican that these Dems, these are phantom Republicans.
Yeah.
They're going, oh no, Lord, they're coming for us. Like, it's ridiculous.
It turns out within Gibbs' friend group, everyone
Good
seems to
thing no one's saying that's the what's happening.
agree. Amazing.
my friend
Who would've thought,
believes,
right? Yeah. It turns out within my Christian friend group, right? Everyone really loves Christ. I think he's a great guy, right? Who would have seen that coming?
True.
What does democracy mean? Like, what do people actually vote for, right? Like, the average person says is so that they're going to cut waste, fraud, and abuse, right? That they're going to shrink the size of the federal government. And the federal government being this big, unwieldy thing in people's minds, they say, sure, yes, actually, that's great. Waste, fraud, and abuse. That's a very convenient tagline that we can just repeat over and over again, right? But the details of that matter. Of course, how do the details of the plan? How do the details of the plan not actually matter?
I just want to
Because they didn't know.
I'm trying to answer this question.
I
How would you define
wish-
democracy?
I wish that Prime.
How do we define democracy?
Did a-
Why can we
Actually
not,
kill.
I wish that Prime did a smidgen more research because there's such a good question to ask here that he's not going to be able to. And it's so succinct.
What's the
It's
question?
just who runs Doge? Like that's such a good question. Like you bring up
that's a
like, oh
good
yeah, the
point.
people voted
Yeah.
for Elon Musk to go through and run and like. Elon doesn't run Doge. He's not an employee of Doge. He's not a part of that advisory committee. So, even if I grant, yeah, the people voted for Elon Musk to go through and unilaterally slash federal funding, well, either he's doing it illegally or he's not doing it because Amy Gleason is the person that runs US Doge. So, I don't know.
How would I define
Can't remember
democracy?
their name,
People
Gleason.
voting,
I can't believe they're gonna litigate the definition of democracy for 20 fucking minutes, dude.
people voting to just people voting. That's democracy. Just people, the people voting. That's democracy.
Like voting for what?
It depends. If we're in a democratic republic, right, then we're voting for representatives. If we're in a direct democracy, then we're voting directly.
Why?
And
Do
we're
we
a
not
democratic
know what democracy means? Do we not know what that word means?
We have a constitutional republic with democratic.
Bro, it's like,
representatives.
Hold on.
do you think breaking the Constitution and consolidating power in the executive is like a democratic shift? Well, what's democracy?
What is
You can
democracy?
be
Are we
able to
not
actually
just a
look at it.
constitutional republic? Aren't we just a?
Yeah.
You're saying that.
I was just asking
Yeah, then let me ask you this, right? Are you saying that within a representative democracy, that people never end up voting for a representative who says they're going to do a thing, right? And then they start doing that thing, but they didn't understand. They didn't understand the details, and so like what they're actually getting is not what they want. You just
Now they're gonna say it's
representative
Biden that
democracy.
did that.
Before we just got started, right? We were in the green room. We talked about the Green New Deal.
Yeah,
right?
big
You
fan.
said how you were a big fan of the Green New Deal until you heard the details.
Oh,
Until you
wait,
realized,
did he
right? So let's
mention
say
the
you were
Green New Deal?
Yeah.
Wait, can you go back like 5 seconds?
constituents, and so like what they're actually getting is not what they want. You just before
representative democracy.
Before we just got started, right? We were in the green room. We talked about the Green New Deal.
Yeah,
right?
big
You
fan.
said how you were a big fan of the Green New Deal until you heard the details. Until you released it, right? So let's say you were a constituent of AOC, right? And you voted for that. She says she's going to the Green New Deal. I support that. But then when she actually gets in office, she puts out a plan that you don't support. Now you're saying, well, that's just democracy, and it is just democracy, but that doesn't necessarily captures exactly the will of you, the individual. Correct?
But here's the issue. When AOC first got elected and they're talking about Green New Deal, the implication was a public works program investing in green energy, rebuilding roads and bridges. We've got crumbling infrastructure. And I said, that sounds fantastic. Of course, my position usually on this stuff is
I wonder what he thinks of the infrastructure plan that Biden passed.
we got to cut spending somewhere to pay for it. We shouldn't be taxing people to do it. We should be spending money on wars. Let's stop spending money on Ukraine, Israel, inter-country Afghanistan, and bring that money back home.
True. I bet if we didn't give the money to Ukraine, we could
No
have funded
way.
the $1 trillion infrastructure bill.
Tim Pool thinks that taking away the aid from Ukraine is gonna solve all of our problems. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's another big
I
thing
wonder
we
why he
currently have
thinks
with the current conservative movement. They don't understand that our government can do like 2 things at once, and I think this is really, really bad. And I think people like Trump are going to continue pushing this idea. right?
Yeah.
No,
Look at,
He understands this, but his goal is not to benefit America. It's to he's getting paid in rubles. I mean, it's not.
I know, but it's like, but like this idea is going to poison like the future thinkers of America because these people
What do you mean
think that.
going to?
Well, it's actively. Excuse me.
Well, yeah.
It has.
It has.
Because I mean, like, dude, we can most definitely do things like send money to Ukraine or send money to Israel or some nonsense, while also passing legislation that's able to help these homeless veterans. Look at what Biden did with the PACT Act, right?
And also, I agree with
Whoa.
the point that's being made is that, you know, it's not democratic if someone says that they're going to do something and then does something different under the guise of what they said they were going to do. That's exactly what Donald Trump is doing right now. I don't know why Prime's not hitting on that more. Like, Elon's not even a part of Doge. Like, what? That's...
Yep.
When AOC then released a resolution, it was diversity nonsense. It was hiring. It was getting academic scholarships
True.
minorities, and I was like, I don't know what that's all about. The question then is, if you believe that, or the issue I suppose is, if you believe that democracy is being threatened, and you believe and agree with an institution in which you vote for a representative democratically and they get in office, if your intention then is to subvert the individual who was put in office, you are a threat to democracy. Do you agree with the system we have where we vote for representatives?
I agree with the Constitution, right? And so within that
Yes, we
Constitution,
vote for representatives.
yes, indeed, and that Constitution has clauses. It's not simply that we vote for them and they do willy-nilly, right? They simply exist in this thing called the government and they do whatever they want,
Okay.
right? So we have,
Okay. Are we gonna finally?
Sure, yeah, yes, we have structures within that, right? And we have laws. And Doge is literally breaking those laws.
What laws are they breaking?
Sure, okay, let's talk about it. Right?
We're changing the subject here now.
Thank you.
Let's wrap it up.
What do you mean we're changing the?
No.
We're not changing the subject, dude. Of course. Now when we get to this part, he's saying we're changing the subject after a 40-minute long debate about immigration and.
Okay, so
people that voted,
then,
yeah.
okay, sure, then let's talk about that, right? So let's talk about veterans. Let's talk about veterans.
Well, let's wrap up the last point.
Okay.
The point of what you asked me is,
We're
we have
talking
a
about
system in place.
veterans.
People get elected all the time who lie. Politicians lie.
Oh my God! No
People vote
shot.
hoping that the person will represent to the best of their abilities. This is the system we have, and a lot of people on the left keep saying our democracy, our democracy, our democracy. It's more of a liberal talking point than a conservative one, because conservatives say constitutional republic all the time. If you would try to upend the administration that was elected by your own system which you support, you are a threat to democracy.
If that administration is upending the
Interesting.
Constitution,
There's.
Now talk about
Oh my God.
That's interesting. You're telling me that trying to disrupt the current administration that people voted for is undemocratic? I'm sorry. Where were you for the past 4 years?
Dude, where were you when they
not-
blocked
not-
fucking Obama's like court pick and when
This
they
is the
would.
stupidest. Well, yeah, civil disobedience against the elected official is not anti-democracy. That's such a stupid fucking definition for what democracy is. Like rising up against something that people elected Donald Trump to do is not anti-democracy. It's anti-Donald Trump. What is anti-democracy, sorry, I'm a one-trick pony, is actually subverting the results of an election. But, you know, Tim Pool will never talk about that in his life. But if we want to hit on, like, Prime's point of, you know, he was elected to do something and he's doing something else, which is against the law, Prime seems more than happy to talk about the laws that he's breaking. It's like, wait, let's talk about migration and let's talk about veterans and let's talk about,
and BLM and, like, George Floyd, yeah. But
Yeah,
you know,
how
it's
long
also
till George Floyd mentioned.
it's also like it's so annoying that like every single thing like Democrats bring up is like already 100 times worse than anything Biden ever did. Probably right, like you know, being civilly liable of rape or like the attempted insurrection or the insurrection attempted coup, whatnot. But then they call you, oh my God, this tired talking point again and again. It's like they're not
Oh my God.
they're just like, pointing out how
January
you say the
6th
law.
again.
It's just like what. It's like if someone said, "Oh, I like Ted Bundy." It's like, what? Didn't he kill a bunch of people? Oh my God, this is tired talking about it. Get me the cereal already.
Yeah, dude,
What?
it's literally like, oh, why is it all you can talk about is Watergate?
Well, no, there's more to that, but okay. There's more than Watergate against Nixon, but you know, oh, cool.
Yeah, there's
Not
more
your
than
friend, not
January
your
6th against Donald Trump, but like that's
Yeah,
bad
yeah.
enough to
But
that's
even-
bad
even-
enough
even
to,
if it's-
to
even
only
if it's
point
the
at
only
that.
thing, it's like
Yeah.
Ted, I don't know of any. Okay, except for being a Republican, Ted Bundy. I don't know of anything bad else that he did except for the murders, right? But like it's still a valid talking point, so address it. Like yeah, I don't know.
democracy.
That's
Very
definitionally
frustrating.
incorrect.
That's not, no, because they're breaking those laws that I'm
Okay,
talking
so
about.
there is a mechanism by which you can remove Donald Trump. It's called impeachment and conviction. If you were trying to
No,
obstruct
but that's also that's anti-democracy when they tried to impeach Trump, isn't it? Like,
suspend the
True,
will of
yeah.
the democratic system, you're a threat to our democracy. So right now, you can argue the people did not expect Elon to do this, that, or otherwise.
Well,
The
they did.
appropriate process would be then Congress
This
impeaches.
is the
Unfortunately,
stupidest.
the people also elected a Republican. majority. And
Why are we like? If that was true, then all of politics would be anti-democracy because you're trying to stop the thing that other people voted for. This is politics. Politics is not anti-democracy. What are we talking about?
the Republicans, looking at their constituents and current polling, which they track all year round, are supporting Donald Trump because they want to win again in 2 years. The indications are there is no popularity in stopping.
That and Elon Musk is gonna fucking primary them if they.
True. What Trump is doing.
Yeah, I think currently, certainly, well, it depends on where you go, and depends,
what about Republicans? That's what you're.
Well, yeah. But again, I'm trying to get to that. Let's talk about these things. Okay, so let's talk about veterans, right? Veterans make up about 30%, according to this article from The Independent. Veterans make about 30% of the nation's federal workforce, right? So they've been disproportionately affected by these firings. So I care about veterans. I'm not sure about you guys, right?
Sure.
Okay,
I think the VA does a good job.
Pull back, right? So I care about veterans. I care about what happens to them. I care that veterans are part of this workforce, are being valuable members of the workforce, and there's some being cut and being told they're unnecessary, that they're below necessarily, right? And so veterans also are more likely to vote for Donald Trump. Here is a collection of veterans who voted for Donald Trump, right? But then guess what? They got fired. Nathan Hooven is a disabled Air Force veteran who voted for Donald Trump in November. Barry, barely 3 months later, he's now unemployed and says he feels betrayed by the president's dramatic downsizing of the federal government that cost him his job, right? I have more stories. James Santos, 6-year-old Army veteran who was fired last month from his job as a supply technician at the VA hospital in Milwaukee, said it felt like he'd been shot and jumped out of a helicopter.
This is ridiculous.
I'm gonna go.
First of all, if you know.
Why is this ridiculous?
Two,
So true.
we know the VA was spending federal money to have orgies. That's literally a thing that came up recently. It was a big controversy. You can Google it if you want.
Is that true? I don't know if that's true. Maybe it is.
Oh,
if
so
based
we should
if
just
true.
cut these
Yeah, so
people.
fire all of them.
Yeah,
I know.
obviously. We can't like resolve that one thing, or possibly get compensation for any of that, or like hold these people accountable. We have to just reinvent the wheel.
As it like, are there not? I'm sure there's plenty of private hospitals where there's been orgies too. Like I'm sure we can.
No.
Sure, we can find some of those, but.
Look up VA orgy. It's crazy stuff, right? So, like, why are we going to be spending money like on orgies? Hold on, Brian, 1 second. Like, so when I'm sitting here hearing what you're saying, and you're saying, oh, I can find an anecdotal example of one guy that got fired.
We just used anecdotal examples. Hey, my friend.
Didn't they just talked about, like, not that long ago, we were talking about these are phantom Republicans who you say, regret voting for Trump or whatever. These people don't exist. And it's like, Prime is like, hey, by the way, there's a lot of veterans who don't like Trump now, even though they voted for him because he, like, fired them and he doesn't like what they're doing. But now this is...
Hold on. So sure, I'm sitting here and I'm talking about mass quantities, right? I voted for this. Everybody that I know voted for this.
Oh, everyone
Hold on, Brian. So when I'm sitting here going, I'm looking, you're finding one example of a guy that fired.
I have more examples.
We can go back to that 1 second.
Okay,
but let me just finish. When I'm looking at America as a whole, right? I'm seeing hey, what do you think that cutting the spending looks like, right? This is what it looks like. This is what we voted for. Trump.
No, what do you mean?
This is not what it looks like. What it looks like is passing a different budget.
They don't have the authority to... Oh my god.
All right, if this is what cutting the budget looked like, can you show me one comparable thing to what's happening right now?
Yeah, like...
It's new. It's trailblazing. Also, not to mention the issue is that he's just firing now and then like figuring shit out later.
Yes, he's like literally rehiring certain federal agents that he didn't know that what they did. But like,
aren't they not taking the jobs?
Some of them.
There's a super clear reason as to why the only analog that conservatives point to Doge right now is Clinton firing as many federal workers as he did. Because there's no goddamn analog. Clinton did it with congressional authority. This is not what cutting the budget looks like. This is not what government restructuring looks like. This is what a fucking soft coup looks like.
Yeah.
Like, this is insane.
Ran on a couple things. He said close the border. He did that. He said he's going to try to get out of Ukraine. We got a ceasefire going. He says he's going to stop. He's going to cut spending.
That ceasefire is I don't think Russia's agreed to that one yet, have they?
Yeah, they already
This is what cutting the bloat looks like. Sometimes people are going to get fired. I'm sorry. The Postmaster General said they could cut 10K jobs and become more efficient, and they've been like barely able to stay afloat for a while now. Whenever we're sitting here saying there's 10K jobs that can be cut, that is bloat. I have
a fact check real quick. Put a pin, just don't forget what you're going to say. I asked ChatGPT, do veterans hate the VA? Yes.
Oh my god, bro.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, good source.
Jesus. Also, it's so...
Is he being for real?
I don't, like... Maybe my mind's the one that's
real.
broken, but I think I don't know, I think it's conservatives' minds are broken. Like, there's a difference between do veterans like the VA and just like, is the VA like a good thing? Is the VA a net benefit? Like, is the VA existing better than the alternative of more veterans being homeless? Like
ask ChatGPT if veterans enjoy being fired from the VA. I think that's gonna be a wildly different answer.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I appreciate that, but the problem with this is a bit of distraction, but I'm gonna engage it just for a second, right? The problem with the VA, right, is that there's a lot of inefficiencies there, right? And there's something that we should deal with. There's a lot of agreement.
I can literally attest to a veteran right now that says they
not-
hate the VA.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, but the reasons they use the VA because when they actually get those services, they like those services.
Because it's paid for.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody likes a
Yeah,
free
yeah,
handout.
yeah, exactly. Because people would like their healthcare to be.
I'm sure that I'd love to buy steak and lobster on an EBT
I know,
card, too. That'd be great. Like,
I get you're conservative,
sorry,
right?
you can.
I know.
I get you're conservative, and you don't like that a government that cares for its people that and does that through healthcare. I understand that. We're not going to agree on that, so I'm not going to argue.
Sure.
My point is that when they get the actual services, yeah, they like the VA. But in any case, right?
When they get them after they got fucked by the bureaucracy, that's a big threat to
Oh
democracy.
yeah, sure. So I think the stories of veterans are important, right? So we have James Evan, a reservist therapist at the Salem VA. Expired in February. His 8th month as a probationary worker. Evan said a patient had just told him how much he appreciated his work when he received his email. He had moved from California with his wife, 3-year-old son, and a 1-year-old daughter for a job that he had long wanted.
It's even more
Evan's
silly. They
36-year-old
talked about
veteran was the only
immigration
one
for
working in his family. He said
an
he was
hour,
scared, numb, and
dude.
angry. I cried. Evan
Not
said,
not
about
anything
when I
about
was like,
Doge.
I haven't done that in a while because you're just kind of free falling now. You're in an area, to where you're not really familiar with, and you're just being left out to dry. This is what many of our veterans are feeling. So, like, what are we doing here?
How long have the veterans felt like left out with the bureaucracy?
Yeah, and so you're like, and the way to fix that is to fire them.
Yeah, because you fire the bad employees, you get better employees.
Are they bad employees?
Well, my view would be, I don't see how a singular story of someone upset over firings has a bearing on the entire system that is being challenged.
We have that famous story just came out this week about this girl that said, literally, I can't believe they fired me for poor performance. I didn't know poor performance was a thing. Like, that is a thing.
But my point is, there's a meme where it's a person.
These people, Tim was just saying that these were phantom people, by the way, who
Crying. And no, it's a little kid crying, and they say, "Oh no, the child is crying! Quick, burn the Constitution." What the meme
True.
attempts to exemplify is
More evidence or more reports come out when it comes to these people. Like once they finally find them and they speak to them about their like firings or all this nonsense. What are they going to say then?
I don't know. He'll probably ask ChatGPT what it.
Are they just going to say it's anecdotal or some shit? Or we can't.
Well,
I-
it's Constitution. Wait, what did I miss? What did they just say?
They just went back to like talking about firing people from the VA and
has a bearing on the entire system that's being challenged.
We have that famous story just came out this week about this girl that said, literally, I can't believe they fired me for poor performance. I didn't know poor performance was a thing. Like, that is a thing.
But my point is, there's a meme where it's a person crying, and no, it's a little kid crying, and they say, "Oh no, the child is crying! Quick, burn the Constitution." What the meme attempts to exemplify is, look, you're not going to go to a conservative specialty.
By the way, I think am I crazy for thinking the actual meme he's talking about is that image of like the brown child crying and the caption is like 14 brown children crying that'll make you say fuck borders. Is that not the actual meme that he's talking about that he's like hiding?
Well, if he's saying a girl crying, so you need to burn the Constitution. How Doge is the thing that's unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Why are we saying that if it's poorly affecting veterans and it's not laid out in the Constitution?
I think he's talking about this meme and it's just too afraid to
Yeah,
it's just
true.
too afraid to like say it, but
or a parent and be like, the sad child warrants that you throw away your system. So a veteran going to the media and saying something bad happened to me, it's like, okay, the system is broken.
That happens all the time. The VA bureaucracy.
Then we can also say that.
Wait, Prime, please.
Just because people support
Democracy.
Yeah, well, also then it's also democracy if people decide that this isn't what they wanted, right?
If in 2026 they vote for Democrats in the House, Donald Trump gets impeached and then convicted in the Senate,
Yeah,
I agree.
Sure. No one is saying that elections don't have.
you would
I would love
never
them to
accept
just-
that. If that happens,
I would
Tim
love them-
Pool would be like screeching cry. He'd be saying coup. He'd be saying corruption. Like
True.
there's no shot. Like
Yeah, what they say for the first two impeachments. But
Exactly,
like,
like-
okay. I would love Prime to ask this one question, and that is it democracy to get to hold a vote to get rid of elections?
yeah.
Because like obviously no, that's not democratic. But like I have a strong feeling that both of these people would say yes.
Yeah.
Consequences, right? They absolutely do.
My point is largely just, right now we are existing in our democratic process, and if there is subversive action taken to stop the current administration and what they're doing, and I'm saying subversive, I'm not saying legal standard political stuff, I'm saying subversive stuff, that's a threat to our democracy. So for instance, right now what we have is a president with a popular vote who won every swing state, specifically with one of his core projects, DOGE and the firing of bureaucrats, and now we have people on the left protesting, which is fine, but then we have people setting cars on fire, shooting at Tesla vehicles.
stuff.
We had a series of swattings last night.
Two assassinations of Trump.
So this is the biggest
This is the big threat here is the Democrats burning Teslas or whatever. Oh,
Yep.
fucking kill
Yeah,
me.
that's the real
democracy
threat to
we face, and when
democracy.
Trump-
Ignore like the Capitol riot, ignore them actually like subverting the Constitution by doing all the Doge cuts. Like this is the real threat to democracy is a Tesla got burnt down.
was leading the polls, they tried to kill him. Like,
Teslas will burn
Okay,
themselves down anyway. So I mean, I don't know why.
That's true. Do we know? Yeah, it was the Democrats. What if it was just like bad?
Yeah,
Elon Musk's
maybe it's just the
bad
Teslas are
engineering. Like maybe they just did that.
Not for the assassinations, right?
I'm gonna need
or
the source,
arson,
Tim.
Or the arson, or the vandalism.
So right now, my point is, the perceived threat to our democracy that you see is the administration doing what it told people it would do. The threat to democracy I see is terrorism.
What if what they said? Okay, one, I don't think they were saying that we're gonna break the fucking Constitution and we're gonna get rid of the, you know, we're gonna impound funds or whatever the fuck. But also, literally, what if what they said they were gonna do is anti-democracy? Is that conceivable, Tim Pool? Is that able to fit within your brain that they could say we're gonna do anti-democratic things once we're elected? Like,
Okay, hold on. Then we agree, right? We agree that, hey, if you are causing violence and destruction, right, and not like, you know, illegal peaceful protest, that you should be in jail, that's undermining democracy. Oh, okay, if that's your point, well, then I agree with that.
Yeah, so I would say...
All right, but that doesn't undermine my point, though, right? So you're saying that is a threat to democracy. True. Understood, right? I wasn't saying that Doge is the threat to democracy. It's simply another threat to democracy.
But,
right?
but the paradox here is people voted for it, and the process is playing out as they chose.
Nonfon, let's get high. I wish I was high watching this shit.
Not playing out how it should. You can't even tell me how the process is playing out. Like, most of the shit that Doge is doing is still completely unknown.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know most of the people that are working under Elon Musk, and we know that Elon Musk is not working under Doge. This is not what the people voted for.
They didn't vote for it. No, they didn't.
What do you think, like, cleaning out the government?
No, hold on. That's what you can keep saying. What do you think? Actually, yes. What did they think? They thought that, yes, we're cutting...
I can't read minds.
Yeah, I know. You can't read minds.
Elon Musk formed
Yeah,
Doge
I know.
well before the election.
Elon, yes.
Campaign on it.
Understood.
People voted for it.
Yeah, hold on. Saying that we are going to make the government more efficient without details of exactly what that looks like, right?
No.
Yeah, details.
Listen. It was explicit. Drain the swamp has been a slogan of the Trump campaign going back to 2015.
The swamp means fucking nothing. It means fucking nothing.
What
was the swamp?
Actually, I will make that. I'm so glad you...
Terminating...
No.
For 10 years, Donald Trump has campaigned on firing people and gutting the bureaucratic state.
What does that mean? But what do people actually think about when they consider these things?
Yes,
I know. Hold on. Exactly. I agree with you. It's speculation because these individuals say, yes, I want the bureaucrat. The bureaucrat's been built up within conservative politics, right, for decades, right? The evil bureaucrat. Yeah, I want them gone. But what I don't want is a veteran that I know. I want him fired.
The point is, Donald Trump ran a campaign for a year. Elon Musk and his Doge are going to fire people. The process is playing out right now. This is not an argument in favor or against it. What happened? Yeah. Your argument is you believe that people don't like the way it's happening. We don't actually know that.
I have a poll.
You have a poll of how many people, right?
You can look up the number of people.
You sure can. So the data we have.
Oh my God.
Run by a reputable source.
The poll we have is the election took place. Beyond this,
you look at the poll, please.
Kill me.
The point I'm making is, we had an election based on this promise to do a certain thing. You are now arguing people do not like the way that thing is happening. I'm saying we don't actually know that, poll or otherwise.
Okay, can I just talk about the drain the swamp thing real quick, and then I'll turn it right over to you. This is like when I hear drain the swamp, and I don't expect Trump to go in there and try to do this. And not to quote Alex Jones, but I will quote Alex Jones. I know I look like a higher T version of him, but he says, "Hey, I don't expect him to not get shit up to his ankles, right? Like this is what he's doing. He's going in there, he's getting in there, he's cleaning stuff out. Like when you're sitting here arguing these things, yeah, I don't like that veterans are having problems, right? It sucks that a veteran got fired or this veteran got fired. But when I hear clean the swamp, I go, hey, look, there's a VA. We have documented examples of a VA using taxpayer dollars to host orgies. Like that is something that happened, right? That's like not even arguable. It's not a debate. And we're gonna sit here and go, okay, that Charlie should be cleared out. Those people should be fired. So when we're downsizing and we're clearing
I don't think literally anyone disagrees that the orgy people should be fired. It's should we gut like the rest of the fucking VA spending? And also is the way Doge is gutting this spending or firing people, is that constitutional? Is that allowed? Are they doing it the proper way?
Wow. That's exactly what Americans voted for in mass.
If you're talking about people doing something improper at work, those people should get fired. Hold on. Like, if we find out, right? I'm sure Tim runs a tight organization, right? But we found out that one of his workers, maybe this guy right here, I don't want to cut his jib, right? But maybe if this guy does some shady shit, right? The response shouldn't be Tim shuts down his organization, turns it all down, right? Because he was like,
might be if he's a whole
this guy was jerking off in the studio just before we came here, right? And Tim sees it. He's like, what the fuck, man, right? And so he's like, well, you know what? I'm going to burn down the organization. The only way to fix this is to burn it all down or fire half my employees, like the other guy who's like doing the coding, right? He needs to get fired too because this guy's jerking off. Maybe. Hold on. What's your name, sir? What's your name? Maybe he doesn't want us to know.
Getting attacked out here, but Kellen.
Was it? Kellen. All right, so say Mr. Kellen here runs Mr. Pool's newsroom or whatever, right? And Mr. Kellen has decided that we're going to have orgies every Friday, and we're going to do it on Tim Pool's dime. And then, like, his employees, since this is the work culture, is gone along with it. Guess what? He is absolutely within his right to go, hey, we need to gut all of that and get rid of it. When you're sitting here going, when you're sitting here going, oh, these people didn't vote for this. This is what Trump campaigned on. Like, we want this. This is what we want.
So let me just draw the distinction here. You're saying if one employee does a bad thing, we shouldn't shut everything down. You're saying, yes, but if the work culture and they're all doing a bad thing, you should.
Yeah, I mean, we should take a look at it.
So the question is, to what degree were these agencies doing bad things?
To what degree were they orgies?
Inefficiently.
How big were the orgies? Let me ask Amelia.
If you have a company of 50 people and one guy is doing something untoward, should you shut the whole company down? Just yes or no? One guy's doing a bad thing.
Depends on which person it is. If it's the CEO, and maybe. If not, then no, probably
not.
Even if it's just the CEO is
I looked it up because they're talking so much about this, okay?
Yeah.
The VA orgy thing just happened at a Veteran Affairs facility in Tennessee with like 12 officials. This wasn't like a top-down organizational orgies on every Friday. Why are we acting like the head of the VA was organizing monthly orgies and like mandatory participation? This is just one facility in Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean that's why I said like literally, I guarantee you, there's for-profit hospitals and non-profit hospitals that we could all look up and see. Like, there's probably been orgies there too. Like, I'm sure.
And then guess what?
Say,
those people are gone.
Yeah.
You no need to dissolve
Thanks for
the
the
VA.
follow,
They're
Cold
gone.
Gamer. I appreciate it. Welcome to the stream.
I don't know, man.
Someone else owns it and is funding it, and
Then no.
and if there was a company and literally 70% were doing something untoward, should you shut it down?
Yeah, like if the Catholic Church has a multi-decade, probably multi-century track
True.
record.
You're playing games here. We're trying to argue a simple.
Oh no, I'm agreeing with you.
Oh my God.
Guys, we're trying to divert, and
I'm not trying to divert. I'm giving you an
and
example.
when you doesn't like that, it's intentionally antagonistic and changes the subject. My point
I'm
is
not
this:
trying to antagonize.
we actually completely agree. We all agree that if a company has an overwhelming workforce of corruption, we're gonna shut it down. We may have to just fire all his employees and then start from scratch, or leave it a skeleton crew. And we all agree if one person's doing something wrong, then we just fire that person. We don't have to throw the whole thing out. So the real question we're asking is: are the institutions or the offices, the departments that are being gutted, are their whole workforces doing something wrong, or is it a small bunch that should be excised? That's the real question we're asking. How we determine that is very difficult, but that's where we're at. So your view is the departments
what
are
else we
largely
should
broken,
be
and your view is
asking?
they're largely.
Well, it's not even just broken.
Does the president have the authority to gut congressionally created agencies?
No, don't worry. I bet they'll get back to it. Don't worry. There's a little under an hour left. Okay, they'll. I'm sure they'll get to it.
Corrupt. Like let's just take like an organization like I don't know. Say we take the VA, right? Say he guts the VA. Sometimes you need to gut them and get out the poor performers and gut it. Like it's like actually better with USPS, right?
We're gonna rehire them?
The Postmaster General just said he wants to cut 10K employees and he wants DOGE to help him, right? Now, in my mind, what happens is now you've cut all these employees. You have an excess of funds. What you could do is instead of rehiring them, you might replace them with more qualified people at market value, right? So you could pay the better people that can do twice the work in half the time and pay them more, and that's more efficient and that's going to be better. And that's what the DOGE is arguing they should be doing in a lot of these cases. It's cutting poor performers. Like these people couldn't even answer a 5-question thing from Musk. They're sitting in like troll emails back going, "Oh, go fuck yourself.
Because they're going to go around the tech billion
you can't sit and
you
don't have a performance.
they did have performance reviews. Yeah,
and that's a new ad.
You know, these individuals literally did have performance reviews. They're being fired for bad performance reviews. But we had these individuals actually show us their past performance reviews, and they're excellent. Yeah, that's
under a corrupt government.
Oh, under a corrupt government. Okay, I get performance.
Dude, bro, the Biden deep state
These
was.
workers are bad, and if they were good, then the organization was bad.
The Biden deep state had they faked the performance review. It's just like they faked the GDP and the.
It's the same like goalpost moving that every conservative does. It's like, oh, this doesn't happen, and if it happened, then you're like missing context. And if you're not missing context, then I liked that it happened. Like, oh yeah, these people were like completely inefficient. And if their report said that they were efficient, then they were efficiently doing inefficient things. It's like, okay.
Let's try this. Is there a particular department or institution that you think is being wrongly gutted?
Okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, right? So that's pretty much shut down. Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, that's important, right? Consumer Financial Protection is actually working for you, the taxpayer, right? It's working for individuals who are in contact with the financial landscape, right? All these institutions in terms of banks, right? In terms of non-bank entities that also deal with financial transactions. It is an excellent institution, right? And what this institution has done, it has returned over its lifetime $21 billion in fraudulent transactions, right? From the big banks. The individuals who don't have the resources to actually take these guys on, right? These institutions for instance, the credit agencies, right? You don't have that ability. You could have gone to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and they would have helped you out, right? And they did help individuals out. Now that is no more. That is no more.
I mean, so interesting about the banks, but when was the last time that we had balanced budget? Do you know? You know which one? That's a distraction.
What the fuck, dude? Are you kidding me?
Ignore. Yeah. That's a good point. However, I don't care.
Thanks for the $2. Cope Renewal is obese. I bet he is. Oh my god!
You've never donated to me.
That's his first super chat. I can see it's. Also, dude, this agency does a lot of good things. Okay, when was the last time we had a balanced budget? Like maybe sometimes government spending is just good. Okay, I know maybe that's. Jesus, oh my god.
Yeah, no. The idea here is to address his concerns over the threats to democracy, and the issue we're bringing up is specific institutions that are being gutted that should not be.
Sure, I understand that. And this is where I'm going. The last person to do it was Andrew Jackson, right? And so when I look at this,
that is not true. What? Clinton had a budget.
Institutions that are being the idea here is to address.
Wait, hold on.
Last time we had balanced budget. Do you know? You know which one?
Or balanced budget. I guess Clinton probably still had outstanding debt, but he got the government to a surplus.
That's a distraction. Yeah, no. The idea here is to address his concerns over the threats to democracy, and the issue we're bringing up is specific institutions that are being gutted that should not be.
Sure, I understand that. And this is what I'm going with. The last person to do was Andrew Jackson, right? And so when I look at this, you
balance the budget? I believe so.
We've never bounced the budget.
I thought.
Yeah, 1837.
Never.
But okay, got rid of national. You got rid of national debt.
Maybe I have, okay, so maybe I have incorrect information. Please go ahead.
So anyway, Andrew Jackson, got rid of national debt in 1837, right? Now, okay, he didn't like the banks. You brought banks. I'm not a huge fan. Listen, sure, maybe what was it, the CFPB? Sure, all right, cool. I'll even grant you one. Here's one that I wish Elon would clear out, like the ATF. We haven't got the ATF. I think I'd be a big fan.
Are we gonna are we gonna address the?
Nope, he's just not gonna engage.
Like all conservatives, questions. What you're saying is, are there organizations that maybe he's given a look at, and maybe they are good? Sure, sometimes there's going to be hiccups. That's a given. When you have
the hiccups,
you could just walk off of everything. Like, oh yeah, sure, he's not perfect. He's just a human.
Oh my gosh.
Like massive bureaucracies that have existed for 20, 30 years unchecked. I'm not going to argue that there's not going to be hiccups. Absolutely. But on the flip side, you can't sit here and go point at every little hiccup and be like, nothing good is coming from this.
Every little hiccup. This is an entire fucking like independent agency or whatever that was entirely done it. Are you kidding me? Like this wasn't even on the level maybe we're trying to make an agency more efficient and fired people that we had to rehire later. This is an entire agency that was doing a good thing that just got fucked.
This is literally like the bull in the china shop defense, where it's like, if we were to like obliterate a whole country, these people would be like, oh yeah, but you can't act like we didn't get some murderers and like some bad people. It's like, yeah, what about like the orphanage of 300 toddlers that we just eviscerated? And it's like, yeah, there's some hiccups, but like we got a lot of bad people. It's like this isn't worth it. This isn't disregarding all of the legal questions.
Yeah.
Why are we gutting the Consumer Finance Bureau for no goddamn reason?
Here's what I pulled up. The CFPB operates independently from Congress, getting its funding from the Federal Reserve instead of annual congressional appropriations.
Yes, it's an independent agency, which, by the way, Trump tried to fucking corrupt when he passed this executive order trying to establish more authority over these independent boards. And there was a Supreme Court case about this where they ruled that the funding mechanism was actually constitutional. But who cares about that?
It has led to lawsuits and accusations that it lacks oversight.
Yeah, from the banks.
Critics claim that CFPB enforces regulations selectively, often targeting businesses and banks while ignoring fraud from politically favored groups.
Interesting.
Many believe CFPB imposes excessive and burdensome rules on financial institutions, hurting small business and those making choice. The CFPB faced multiple scandals, including allegations of discrimination in hiring and wasteful spending on luxury office renovations. However, progressives and consumer advocacy groups defend the CFPB, arguing it protects consumers from predatory financial practices. The agency remains one of the most controversial in the federal government.
Yeah, okay, let's see what the CFPB actually been doing, okay? CFPB closes the overdraft loophole to save American billions and fees, right? Like banks overdrafting people to have there's all kinds of ways that banks can increase their fees through overdraft.
Wells Fargo's capped at 3 now. Overdraft fees, they like Wells Fargo, for example, if you have, say, I have a charge go through, and they
can overdraft you 3 times?
Yeah, for 30
BS.
That's what the CFPB actually
charge.
Exactly that.
Overdraft fees should be banned and illegal.
Yeah, so but it has to be for different charges. So like if I got a negative account, it'd be $35, and then it would be the next one, say like a Twitch payment went through or something, then they would charge me another $30.
Or they would
cap it at 3.
Or don't let a credit card clear if there's no money in the account. How about that?
Hey,
they know this.
100%.
These banks are full.
Something else that they would do, right, is that like they would rearrange the numbers. So like let's say if at first the first charge wouldn't overdraft, but the next one did, right? They would switch it. So the one that overdraft, the bigger charge, would come in first, right? And then you would have 2 overdraft fees, right? So the other one that didn't overdraft at first, that switched. So now they get 2 cracks at you rather than 1. That's the thing that banks are doing. The CFPB actively, directly targeted that, right? CFPB sues Experian for sham investigations of credit report errors, right? So people would go to Experian, right, a credit agency, and we know you need credit, the importance of that, right? They would go and say, hey, I got an error on my file, right? And you take a look at this, right? The CFPB would say, oh yeah, we're gonna get right on it, right? But it turns out they didn't actually do it, right? And they'd be gaslighting people, right? The CFPB sued them for that. CFPB poses a rule to ban contract clauses to strip away fundamental freedoms. So there are a rule would forbid a fine print that seeks to censor speech or wipe away a shrine right. So basically, like if you're a bank, right, and you're saying that I want to keep you from doing whatever, right? You're gonna put some like bullshit clause in the contract, right? It doesn't actually have to do with delivering the services. Hey, you can't do that, right? CFPB finalizes a rule to remove medical bills from credit reports, right? So because medical bills, a massive amount of the debt within our country, right? Removing that from your credit report, so having some sort of a medical bill payment doesn't destroy you in your ability to work or to find a place to work, right, or to live. CFPB
Wait, is that a good thing that they remove that from
absolutely
like credit reports? Absolutely. I don't know. I agree that that's
okay. All right,
so let's do this. We don't even
that like medical debt, which is like almost entirely out of your control because it's medical, it's a necessity. Probably shouldn't be restricting your ability to do other shit in life. Probably not. 20
minutes. Let's just start from this point. CFPB, for the sake of argument, is the greatest organization we have in government. Let's just agree that it's fantastic. It has 1,758 staff members. Currently, they're facing reductions. The judge is barring that. USAID has over 10,000 staff. It's been cut down to 294. What are your thoughts on USAID? Should we be should it be left untouched?
Okay, I'm glad we.
Glad
just
take that one on the chin and walk on.
Yeah, did not really address any of that, but okay, cool.
What do you think?
Well, DOGE should not have gone in. Should the American government have gone in and...
The DOGE is. It's the U.S. Digital Service.
You keep saying this, Prime, but if they were going to go in, they would have done it.
DOGE is the United States Digital Service.
Yes.
They call it DOGE for fun. They renamed it.
Yeah, they renamed it.
So these are U.S. government employees who went in.
Sure. Yeah, hold on. I understand that. But
Yeah.
DOGE is doing that.
Hold on. No, touch on that. What does the U.S. Digital Service do?
Yeah.
What does the U.S. Digital Service do?
Do federal employees have authority to just cut spending?
The U.S. Digital Service just updates computer systems. That's all they're allowed to do. Why?
Yeah.
This is so predatory on Tim Pool, because if he knows that Doge is just a renamed version of that, he should know what the authority Doge has is, and he should know that it's not fucking this.
Yeah. Like,
non-constitutional manner. The manner in which they do it actually.
Hold on, I don't believe the Constitution
okay.
actually
Addresses Doge.
yeah,
No.
or these issues.
Yes, it does. Super easily.
What? How can you not believe that?
First of all,
Only the technicality of like whether or not Congress or there should be judicial review.
the technicality of a judicial review. Or, sorry,
Technicality?
What?
Only on the technicality that it says that the president shouldn't be doing this and it should be Congress. Only on that technicality does the
only on the
Constitution comment on
technicality.
this.
Like where it very clearly says like
Yeah,
we're very clear
okay,
it's a spending
technically
clause,
Doge doesn't
like-
have the authority to just usurp Congress. All right, technically, if you want to be pedantic.
Constitution doesn't
appointment
directly
review. Like Congress appointing a person.
No.
to do this.
The point is, you said they're going in unconstitutionally. I don't believe the issue of interagency terminations and finance is an issue of the Constitution.
Actually, it is. It's 100%. That's
What part of the Constitution?
Tim, I've been trying to drive to this point for like an hour. All right, please let me do that.
Yeah, what part?
Okay, can I do that? Okay, right. So the Constitution says that Congress is in charge of the purse. Congress is in charge of distributing funds, right? Deciding where those funds go. The executive executes that, right? And so what's happening is that this a group of individuals goes in and they are making cuts, right? But as we're looking at how these things work previously, right, in terms of looking at contracts and stuff, like there are obligations, right, designed by Congress. Congress says we're going to spend this amount of money, right, to hire individuals to make this infrastructure improvement, right? The president does not have the ability to simply decide I'm not going to do that, right?
However, actually wrong.
Well, yeah, through the Impoundment Act.
Oh my! What do you mean?
Please go over
The
the
Impoundment Act.
Tim Pool's is gonna bring up like I mean obviously there are nuances to every law. So like if there is actual like fucking fraud going on, obviously the president can like freeze spending temporarily. Tim Pool's is gonna bring that up and not actually address like any of this shit.
Right?
Yeah,
They process to do that.
It's okay, real quick. I gotta go soon, but this is the whole part that I've been waiting for. So I'm making a special exception.
Okay.
There was a process for the president to say, I'd like to delay or possibly cancel this money, right? So that's a process that he could use. That is not Doge. That is not Doge.
The challenge at hand of the constitutionality is that Article 2, Section 1 says the executive power shall be vested in the President of the United States. He shall hold his office, et cetera, et cetera. Sole executive power is held by the President. We've had this strange phenomenon in this country. So one, USAID is operating under the executive branch, meaning Congress can apportion funding to USAID.
Unitary executive theory is, first of all, it's fucking stupid. But even if it's not stupid, it doesn't give the president authority to, even if we're assuming that, you know, the president's the chief executive, he has control over the entire executive branch, that doesn't mean he has control over congressionally passed funding.
Yeah.
Unitary executive theory has nothing to do with congressionally passed funding. Even if he is the chief executive, this is still unconstitutional. Congress has the power of the purse, period. There's no getting around that. He has the power of impoundment on his side, but that's just to pause funding until Congress can take another look at it to determine if it's fraud or waste.
And the executive branch has control over what it does. Meaning, you can put the funding there, Trump can say you're all fired. The issue then with checks and balances would be the judiciary needs to step in to make a determination as to whether or not this is being operated correctly. But it is within Trump's purview to do this. The check would be now if the courts agree or disagree.
No, he can.
It is constitutional.
No, it's not
No,
constitutional. We have plenty of we have plenty of challenges. Hold on. You're just putting up the
Constitution.
Hold on. No, but it's not. You're simply saying it's constitutional, but we have actually legal experts saying that's not constitutional.
Well, but the key
So what
thing
happens about it?
I'm going to pause you again. USAID operates under the executive branch for which the president has sole authority.
Yeah. So.
No!
No. Okay.
The Constitution does not allot sole authority to. It says the executive power is concentrated in the chief executive, which is the president. That doesn't mean that the president has sole authority over the entire executive branch. The Supreme Court has rolled in on this and affirmed, yeah, he doesn't have sole authority over the executive branch. Tim Pool wouldn't even disagree that there's certain executive agencies that the president doesn't have authority over. Literally the Treasury, right? That's a part of the executive branch technically. So yeah, there's obviously agencies that the president doesn't have like the power to just dissolve. And regardless of this,
I mean,
again, Congress has the power of the purse.
Yeah.
That's also in the Constitution. Why are we not bringing this up? Hold on, let me read it. Hold on. It's the stupidest fucking thing in the world. Congress shall have the power to lay, collect taxes, duties, imposts, and excises, to pay debts, and provide the common defense and general welfare of the United States, but all duties, imposts, excises shall be in uniform thought of the United States. That's called the spending clause, which basically gives the the Congress the authority to determine where federal funding is going. That is way more directly applicable than Article 1, which just says
unitary executive powers vested.
The president is the president. That's not applicable. Also, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 7, no money shall be drawn from the Treasury, but in consequence of appropriations made by law, and a regular statement and account of the receipts and expenditures of all public money shall be published from time to time. The Supreme Court's case explained that any exercise of power granted by the Constitution to the judiciary or the executive is limited by a valid reservation of congressional control over funds in the Treasury. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's way more directly applicable to congressionally approved spending than the president is the president. LOL. Article 2.
Also, wouldn't literally the implication of this, which is making Congress like the ultimate cuck. Sure, Congress can create agencies, but because the president is the sole unilateral executive, he can just say no, fuck you. Literally, why even give Congress the power at that point? There's no obviously the founders did not intend that, bro.
So that means
that's the problem is that unitary executive theory it relies on the idea that there are no shared powers within government and there are no separated powers within government.
Yeah.
If Congress gives the president authority to do one thing, but it still maintains some level of control over that one thing, the president can just tell them to fuck off and say that it's their power. But that's not how our government functions.
Yeah.
Authority
and regardless, sorry, I'm sorry.
You've been waiting for this.
Congress created this agency.
King.
Congress created this agency through a piece of legislation.
Yep.
And maybe there was an amendment that I missed or whatever. The president can't just get rid of a piece of legislation. He can't just do that. He can't just say I know this agency was created through this piece of legislation, but I don't like it. So I'm just going to fire everyone and stop all of the funding. That's not how anything works.
That's how they operate.
The president
Congress can apportion, and then what's going to happen right now is the judiciary will engage in what's called a check on the executive branch to make a determination about.
And they're literally doing that right now. Hold on. This is literally the heart of it. Okay, the heart of what we're talking about. So yes, they operate under the executive branch, but that doesn't mean that when Congress says you have to use this money for this thing and this thing doesn't get done, that's okay, right? That is impounding. That's violating the Impoundment Act, right? So what?
Do you agree the judicial system has to decide the Constitution?
Hold on. They're literally in the process.
They've already made rulings against Trump, but they just don't. I don't think they care about that.
Well, not only that, they've already made rulings against unitary executive theory.
This
theory that the president is the chief executive and that all executive power lays in the president has already been appealed up to the Supreme Court, and time after time they've already ruled that this is not the way that the Constitution is read. This is not a valid constitutional reading. You could say that we need to wait for the judiciary to rule on it for the fucking fifth time. But then when they rule on it for the fifth time, they're just going to do it again and say we need to wait for the judiciary to rule on it for the sixth time.
Right? No, they're not. They're not.
Okay,
I don't care. I don't care about this right now. I got to focus. This is the point. We have limited amount of time left. This is the point. Congress has said that you have a certain amount of funds that we're going to use for these processes to build this infrastructure. You can't just close down this agency and say that's what we're not going to do. We have money for the FAA, right? For safety, for safety checks or whatever, right? Then that money has to be used for that. So yes, he can fire those individuals, right? You were saying before, but then he has to somehow actually accomplish that task, right?
There aren't even. The president can't just fire whoever the fuck he wants to. I mean, under unitary executive theory, he could, but there are protections for people, that Congress legislated.
It sucks because they are kind of running limited on time, and I know that Prime doesn't have the full time to cook on this topic, but let's assume that unitary executive theory is true. He has control over the entire executive branch. There's a super easy question that would logically follow from the way that Gibbs is looking at it and Poole is looking at it. In that, okay, he has full control over the executive branch. Could he dissolve USAID? Not only remove the funding and fire all the people, could he dissolve the agency? Because he's the sole, authority. Could he just unilaterally get rid of that agency? But no conservative is going to say yes, because that's the fucking stupidest thing anyone's ever heard. Obviously he can't do that.
So the point is to have new safety upgrades to our planes, right? Those safety upgrades have to happen unless he actually goes through the process. And there is a process, right? A process he's used before in his first term, where he can cancel those expenditures. He's not doing that. And this is why. Final thing.
But you're wrong.
Okay.
The president gets a 1 fiscal year delay of spending at his own discretion, and Congress can, unless Congress. The president can temporarily it's called the deferral. So the president cannot rescind fundings, but he can for 1 fiscal year defer payment for policy reasons.
Well, I want to add to this real quick. So,
Yeah, wait.
For policy reasons.
All right. Wait, hold on. Deferrals are fine. That's not what Trump is doing. He's not deferring the funds.
Yeah.
That's not what he's doing. He's freezing the funds. So there's, when making the budget, there's 2 kinds of freezings. It's like, what is it? Deferrals and impoundments.
Yeah.
Right now, what Trump is doing is super clearly more aligned with impounding the funds rather than deferring the funds. Because since Donald Trump is claiming these are all wasteful spendings, he's not going to say that, like, oh yeah, right now it's wasteful for the U.S. to be spending money on like trans Sesame Street in Ghana or whatever.
Yeah,
but in 3 years, I'm probably going to spend it anyway. Like, obviously, that's not what Donald Trump is going to be doing.
Yeah.
That's what a deferral would be, is just, I'm not spending it yet, but I'm going to spend it by the end of my term. Or by the end of the fiscal year. That's obviously not what Donald Trump is doing, because he's claiming all of the funds that he's freezing are wasteful. Why would he spend it if it's wasteful?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It's not constitutional, right? There's been a ton of lawsuits, right? First, we could go into the dates I have them, we can go to watch. But first, they argued they couldn't get full access to that, so that wasn't cool. DOGE won that case. They said that they were not allowed to exist at all. But then DOGE was formed as a reconstructed temp position to be disbanded by July 4th, 2026, and reformed into the Obama agency, so it's allowed to operate. They won that case. USAID was put in place. They won that case. Admin said that DOGE has to be back.
They didn't win the.
They didn't. I think what he's referring to, maybe I'm wrong, is he referring to the temporary restraining orders being lifted?
Yeah, he might.
Because if so, that's not winning the case even a little.
Yeah, it's not.
That's just.
I think that's probably what he's referring to. Yeah, but yeah.
DOGE hasn't. I might be wrong. I'm pretty sure DOGE hasn't won a single case yet.
I don't know if has there been
because I'm pretty sure most of the cases
resolved?
starting. Yeah, I'm pretty sure most of the cases starting in January 20th haven't been taken to trial.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
It's the same way that conservatives say that Trump won all of his federal cases, even though only one of them went to trial and he lost it. Is because like, oh well, they got dismissed, or he didn't get, he didn't get any sentence, so he won the case. All right, so, yeah, I gotta go. Have fun reacting to this debate.
All right, yeah. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, no problem.
Damn, just me now. So lonely. Right at the good part too. At the part he's been waiting for too. Goddamn. I'll do my best to continue his legacy. Okay, I'll read off his own notes that I have.
DOGE also just lost the case because this agency that's supposed to be the most transparent agency we've ever had, right? Also wants to be exempt from FOIA requests. They just lost the case in terms of that. In terms of a judge saying, no, you are subject to that. You have to actually respond to these FOIA requests, right? There are other cases as well. But hold on, before we get distracted with that, right? Which doesn't actually fucking matter in terms of what the point I'm trying to make here, right?
True.
In terms of having processes to defer. If it's a simple deferral, right? Okay, but then what happens after? Are we rehiring the CFPB, right?
No, please. One of the conditions of deferral is, quote, to achieve savings through efficiency. If spending can be delayed to reduce costs to increase efficiency, the president can defer funds.
But you have to spend it later eventually. That's what he just asked. Like if Trump is deferring spending to the Consumer Protection Bureau or whatever, is he going to rehire all those people later? Is he going to rehire all those people at the end of the fiscal year? Is that what you're saying is happening?
Yeah, that's probably, so this means what he's doing is allowed
no, because there's a process to do this, right? For instance, if he wants to cancel payment, it's
called deferral.
I know
he's not even doing that.
Hold on. No, he's not. I'm saying.
Well, I looked up the law.
Yeah, you're not looking. I looked up. Don't worry, because I looked the law that I cited, so I know what I'm talking about.
Unless otherwise specifically provided by law.
Yes, I'm saying, but he's not.
The president can legally withhold the funds for 1 fiscal year.
He's not doing. Yes, I get that. The law.
Is he gonna? So answer the question, Tim Pool. Is he gonna rehire all those people later? Is he gonna hire those people at the end of the fiscal year? He's gonna say, "Hey, by the way, just joking about getting USAID. That funding that I deferred. I have to spend it all now." Is he gonna do that? What the fuck?
Right. But how does it allow you to do it? You have to follow a process. And he's not actually doing that, and it involves consulting Congress. So there is for instance, there is a simple cancelable spend. It's a simple majority that you can get through Congress. If he's not actually going through Congress, why is he not actually going through Congress?
He didn't go through Congress.
But he does. That's the law. That's what I'm talking about. So when I say it's unconstitutional, when I'm saying it's breaking the law, that means, hey, you're not following the law. If you're going through another process you just made up, that would be breaking the law. That's my entire point. Aren't you following this, guys?
Hold on. No, I disagree here. Let me just.
Okay, no. Fair point. For deferral, the president sends a message to Congress from which they reject, modify, or approve, and it's a freeze of 1 year. I do think it's fair to say that Trump is not actually deferring anything, and the issue then is we are in a
impoundment then. What's the other? If you stop deferring, then why the fuck did you? Oh my God.
To be fair, constitutionally nebulous position of Trump firing people isn't legally rescission or deferral.
So, okay, yes.
The firing. Okay, the firing. Presumably, some firings are probably legal by Trump. Some agencies, Congress establishes, rules for who Trump can and can't fire within them, right? Like you can't fire inspector generals without 30-day notice from Congress. There's rules like that, right? You can't fire the chair of the Federal Reserve without cause. Other agencies, there may not be those rules, but there are protections for the majority of civil servants. But that's not what we're trying to. We're trying to talk about impounding the funds right now. We're trying to talk about defunding entire agencies. I don't know why we're just talking about just some of these firings right now. But again, a lot of the firings probably are illegal. But.
The argument would be that it is. I mean, their argument that's not.
Well, so let me just, I want to examine another push this because we only got a few minutes left. But just real quick. So DOGE right now, which has said, and this has been controversial this last week, it estimates that the government had 4.6 million credit cards and 90 million unique transactions in fiscal year 2024. All right, I've worked for several companies that have given me a company credit card, right? And I've had to answer with a receipt every time I spent money on that card. You're telling me with 4.6 million credit cards issued that there is not potential for waste in there, and we need to go in and look it up and see. And okay, no, now I get that you're saying.
I mean, Prime has already said, first of all, I like how we're just not engaging with like anything Prime said, and we're just going to, well, actually the president can defer funds, which is not what Prime is arguing, and also the president can sometimes fire people, which is not what Prime is arguing. And now we're talking about, is there potential for waste with credit cards when Prime has, one, already said every large organization does have some amount of waste, and two, this,
It's 0.6 million.
How is this evidence? I don't understand how this is evidence of waste. Please.
Right. And I've had to answer with a receipt every time I spent money on that card. You're telling me with 4.6 million credit cards issued that there's not potential for waste in there, and we need to go in and look it up and see. And okay, no, now hold on. I get that you're saying it's been appointed. This money's been appointed, but it's saying there's money that's been appointed for the credit cards, and we find out they're spending it buying T-bone steaks every night with the misses. Like, guess what? Yeah, the money might have been in proportion for these credit cards, but it's being misused.
If that was unconstitutional. If that was the case, and we don't have oversight.
This is
we don't have oversight. So, in terms of
the oversight,
it's not the oversight. No.
They went through it as like the first half of the debate, but it's again, there are things like the Government Accountability Office and Inspector Generals who already do this fucking oversight, but that would not give the president the authority to defund entire agencies or to fire people who have other protections. It would just give him the authority to defer, or sorry, not I think there's some, I think sometimes actually they do have to get the approval of Congress. It would just give him the ability to free spending for things that are actual fraud, but that's not what we're talking about here.
Well, it's not the oversight.
You just don't like that Trump and Elon are at the top. That's your big problem.
No, it's not that, right? Because I didn't like Joe Biden either, right? I just like most.
I love Joe Biden.
Most of the politicians. That in itself is not the reason. It doesn't matter if I like them or not. It matters if it's legal or it's constitutional. That's the thing I'm examining, right? So I don't give a fuck if Joe Biden or Donald Trump happens to be on top. I'm examining the oversight. They're following the oversight. No, there's not following the oversight. Okay, so you're not actually even. You're literally not even listening, right?
Wait, did he say Doge is the one filing the cases?
I just like most of the politicians. That in itself is not the reason. It doesn't matter if I like them or not. It matters if it's legal or it's constitutional. That's the thing I'm examining, right? So I don't give a fuck if Joe Biden or Donald Trump happens to be on top. I'm examining the oversight. They're following the oversight. No, there's not following the oversight. Okay, so you're not actually.
Oh, that's why
you're not literally not even listening, right?
I mean, that's not true either. We talked about that.
Okay, you don't know. You don't tell me about the Impoundment Act. Tell me about it.
I don't think about it off the top of my head. I don't have that information. I mean, you didn't have the information for the other thing.
He doesn't even know what the Impoundment Act is. Does he actually not? Oh, kill me. Don't worry, Tim Pool's. I've got it loaded up in ChatGPT, I'm sure.
You don't know. Yeah, you don't know. Yeah, you don't know. So okay, let's.
I mean, based on what he's just read, I mean, it sounds like he's doing fine.
No, he literally just said, "Hey, actually, there is a process here." We're not following the process.
I'm not talking about
We're talking about Congress.
We all agree. We're not talking about deferral. That's kind of the issue.
Trump has not deferred or rescinded any funds.
Do we disagree with this statement?
Trump has not deferred or rescinded any funds.
So Congress approves funds, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me what I'm wrong. Trump decides as the head of the executive how those funds, since once they're allocated for a certain thing, are to be used. Is that correct?
Technically, you're 50-50.
Congress can obviously mandate certain things, but
Congress can allocate funds for specific use. Trump then determines how to go about that process. So, so it's a mix. Congress says, here's $100 million specifically to grow strawberries. Trump can say, okay, we got to grow strawberries. Hire me 10 people, send them to California and grow strawberries.
So, okay, that's my point. So Trump has discretion on how that money is spent to an extent, right? So it's like
to the extent that it's been approved.
So when he's sitting here gutting an agency, there's no, especially when it could be in the fiscal year still.
It's a congressionally approved agency. You can't impound funds for it.
There's no reason for me to go, it's unconstitutional. Okay. Say he guts USAID, he can hire new people, he can spend that money differently. So there's no reason why
you made this point.
You can't shutter the entire agency and they literally like taped out the fucking words on the building, bro. Like, come on.
So long as what was apportioned by Congress gets done.
Right.
Yes,
So Trump has to find a way to do the thing Congress
yeah,
has to be
yeah,
done.
yeah, okay. That would change the calculations. If that does,
We don't know what he's gonna do.
Right now, yes, we don't have a plan for that. Actually, we
Well, he
don't.
probably does.
He's saying he's going to close down the Department of Education, right? If that spending has been approved, right? And it takes an act of Congress to actually close that down anyway, right? And which is the point I'm talking about.
Has he?
You have to. No, he's working. He's acting. He's working.
I mean, he hasn't done it with the Department of Education yet, but
That's true.
we'll see. Maybe we'll get there, bro.
Well, CFPB.
I mean,
but it's an agency. That's an agency. Not a department.
Yeah, so nothing's been shut down.
Well, the CFPB.
No,
and the USAID.
and in USA,
Of
yeah,
the congressionally approved funds.
What do you mean? Sorry.
that's for USAID was congressionally approved funds, and consumer. They don't get their funding through Congress, but I do think that was. I think the. What is the
Yeah, so nothing's been shut
abbreviation?
down.
Well, the CFPB.
No.
CFPB. I mean, I think this was created through an act of Congress. I just don't think it gets its funding through Congress. But I like, yeah. The creation was authorized by the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act.
USAID.
Of the congressionally approved funds.
What do you mean? Sorry.
So of the things that Congress has mandated to be done, has Trump shut those things down?
If there's no workers to execute those things, then yes, they've been shut down.
The answer is they have not been.
Fine. Then how are they? Okay, so the Congress appropriates, like we're going to send this amount of aid to Nigeria, or whatever, right? And there's no workers to
It's not
actually send
USA.
that. No, I'm just like go with me, right? And there's no workers to actually execute that. Well, then how has that not been
Full
canceled?
stop. We're not talking about hypotheticals. The question was, has Trump actually shut any of these things down?
Shut any of these things down? Are you talking about in terms of contract appropriations?
Anything that Congress has mandated to be done, has Trump ordered shut down completely?
USAID and
Hold
the.
on.
I think the CFPB would probably count too.
Yes or no? I don't know. Don't get
No,
mad.
because you're moving this
I'm
around.
not at all.
Okay,
I'm
well,
asking you.
Sure. If you're talking about in terms of what.
No, stop. I'm not if.
The CFPB has been shut down. I already said that before.
Okay, now the question. Thank you for finally answering.
I said that before.
Okay,
Multiple
and you
times.
said it's not department.
He did say that
It's an agency.
before, but
Now my follow-up question is: did Congress apportion funds for the specific task of CFPB to engage in certain practices?
the agency was created by Congress, but I don't think it. Again, they don't get their funding through Congress or whatever. So.
Yes.
Okay, so the issue then is, one, was CFPB actually shut down? It has not been. A judge has blocked that. Although it's fair to say Trump wants to do it.
Yeah.
A whistleblower is now testifying that they still want to do it. However, it's been...
That would be the
And
unconstitutional.
he's following the, and he follows the law. He
The
follows the court's
but-
decisions when they do it.
Yeah. So if shutting it down would be the thing that's the problem that I'm against. If you're saying that a court stopped him from doing the bad thing, well then I agree with the court. But I'm still have a problem with the bad thing. So it doesn't invalidate anything I just said.
No, Congress did not apportion funds for CFPB.
In terms of it came from the Treasury, we were talking about this.
Congress did not appropriate funds for
So they
CFPB.
got
yeah,
to
but it
shut
came from
down.
the
But it was created through an act of Congress.
That's why I thought you said it wasn't a department, because you were specifically mentioning
No,
that
no,
Congress
but,
doesn't fund it.
but it's funded indirectly. Well, we mentioned this at the very start. We were talking about the funding of the CFPB, right? CFPB has a special way of funding it, right? But
The funding method has been challenged because it's unconstitutional.
yeah, but from the banks, yeah, they've been trying to the banks that have been trying to be been regulated, right? They don't like it, and so they've been challenging it on all grounds.
All right, let's slow down. We're trying to get to the truth here.
Sure.
So when I asked, and you said CFPB is an agency, not a department, I thought the point you were trying to make contextually was this one may be shut down, but doesn't qualify because Congress didn't apportion funds for it. No, the question was, if Congress says this money is for this thing, Trump must have that thing happen. He controls how that thing does happen, but it has to happen. CFPB is not given funds by Congress, which has been challenged, so it's nebulous. This is hard. It's hard to adjudicate.
Okay, fine, sure. I disagree that it's any different in terms of like how our government actually works, but we can just move on to USAID. If USAID is getting its funds directly from Congress, then it counts for USAID, right? Or any other department. Like it's literally the same principle. But if you want to talk about technicality, because again, yes, the CFPB.
Also, these guys didn't they already admit that they literally wouldn't fucking care if this happened because they all said unitary executive theory. Trump gonna say fuck you anyway, like.
Protected because they didn't, when it was created, it was hidden, it was structured in a way so it couldn't easily be shut down. Apparently that was wrong. Well, if you go through an unconstitutional manner, of course you can easily shut it down. In any case,
So if it totally guts USAID and puts like Trump AID in there instead or whatever, I'm just making something up, and it does the exact same job, like wouldn't that fulfill the obligation to spend the money on that thing?
yeah, it might.
So then it's not unconstitutional. Got it.
If
You can replace it with
I'm not sure where the line is drawn there. I'm not sure how many changes you can make before it would violate the Constitution or whatever. But
if it's, will it be replaced?
I mean,
no, because
maybe.
the point here was to shrink the government. So what you're telling me now is that now they're going to shrink the
make it more
government.
efficient.
No. They, like to shrink the
well, I appreciate you hanging around, Tesla.
They talked about that many times. Let's not bullshit that, okay? So it's not about replacing this with something else, right?
more
That's one
efficient
thing.
thing.
Yeah, but they're not doing that. Stop making that up.
So I think, I'll give my final thoughts. Largely, when we say things like, if a department has one bad person, don't gut it. If a department has a mass majority of corruption, gut it. The issue is largely just how we see the world in these institutions. And it's why I believe that there's not going to be reconciliation. There's not going to be a coming together of either side. My view, especially reading now about CFPB, is I was, I'm learning a lot here as DOGE does its thing. Notably that Congress has created extra constitutionally agencies. What I mean by extra, outside of the confines of the Constitution.
there was a ruling on CFPB like literally not that fucking long ago, bro. That was that ruled it was constitutional. Funding constitutional. I think it was literally last year. Yeah. by fucking Trump's Supreme Court, by the way. Supreme Court affirms constitutionality of CFPB funding. This is the Supreme Court. Trump's Supreme Court, okay? I was going to say Trump's Supreme... Well, it is Trump's Supreme Court. But you understand what I'm saying. The Supreme Court, full of Trump appointees, okay, ruled that the statute of funds the Bureau through the Federal Reserve instead of congressional appropriation satisfies the U.S. Constitution's appropriation clause. Which again, by the way, also statute. So Tim Pool again is correct when we say it's not an agency that gets its funding through Congress, but it was created again by statute by the Elizabeth Warren fucking whatever act that we read earlier on Wikipedia.
They have created agencies that are independent of the government. The excuse they made in the 70s when they started creating these things, not all of them, but some of them, was that they should be free from political influence. But you know what that means? It means it's outside of democracy. The CFPB was intentionally done this.
First of all, that doesn't make it bad, okay? The Federal Reserve is outside of democracy. That's probably a good thing because democracy is not a very, it's obviously it's indirectly democracy because, Congress is a democratic institution that created the agency, and Congress does oversee the Federal Reserve and the executive oversees the summit. But direct democracy is not a good way to handle monetary policy, okay? We have learned this, okay? It's obviously fucking dumb because people will just vote to helicopter money, and politicians have a short-term incentive to just helicopter money, okay? And there are studies on this. Countries with independent central banks usually have lower inflation than countries with politically controlled central banks, right? Because of the incentives of politicians to helicopter money. Direct democracy is not a good fucking way to handle monetary policy. So one, it doesn't make it bad. Two, it's just not it doesn't make it unconstitutional either. It doesn't make it bad, doesn't make it unconstitutional. There are reasons to do it, and doesn't make it unconstitutional.
It operates outside of the executive branch and Congress, which is shockingly insane, as does the Federal Reserve.
Federal Reserve is thrown in there. Can't wait till Doge goes after the Federal Reserve. That'll be a fun one, guys. That'll be a fun one. But there are reasons to create independent agencies. They're created by Congress, by the way, and they do usually they're independent, obviously. So they're outside of total control by either the Congress or the executive branch. But it's not like Congress doesn't oversee them. Okay, Congress still oversees them. The executive branch still oversees them to some extent too. There are Inspector General reports that come out about the Federal Reserve. Okay, that's executive oversight. The president appoints the chairman of the Fed. That's executive oversight or executive oversight, and then Congress confirms them. That's with he appoints them with the advice and consent of the Senate or whatever.
This is not democracy.
Leave that for the Inspector General's office, right? We shouldn't have Inspector Generals who are independent from
political processes. No.
You don't think the Inspector General?
No one should be independent from politics. Politics is the market.
Okay. So I'm just Tim Pool probably doesn't think we should have a Federal Reserve at all, but okay.
Right? The Supreme Court is supposed to be independent from politics, right? That's why they have a lifetime.
They're not. That's not correct.
Of course they are.
What do you mean?
The entire reason that they have lifetime appointments is because they're insulated from at least not entirely independent, because not literally nothing is entirely independent. They're supposed to be insulated from politics. That's the entire reason they have lifetime appointments. FOMC cannot be audited. This is law. The FOMC, there are restrictions over what people can look into for the FOMC, but the Inspector General does have reports that come out about Federal Reserve conduct and everything. The FOMC releases the transcripts of every meeting 5 years after the fact, and they release the minutes from every meeting 3 weeks after the fact. And there are also financial audits at the Federal Reserve from a private accounting agency as well. And also the people on the FOMC have to appear in front of Congress sometimes as well. There is oversight. I understand there are restrictions as to what you can look into. Ben Bernanke has a good article about it.
So you're making a semantic argument.
Sorry, okay.
Supreme Court justices don't get elected; they get appointed. The president, the executive branch will appoint, and Congress must approve.
Isn't that
just like almost any independent agency? This is the mechanism by which they hire people, even the fucking Federal Reserve.
Inspector Generals as well? They get appointed. They don't just appear out of the
The point is, we have three branches. The judiciary is not free from politics. A president gets elected.
They're not entirely free. Again, these independent agencies, by that logic, these independent agencies aren't free from politics either.
And most people actually vote solely on the Supreme Court justices.
Sure.
Then Congress can say yes or no. So the Supreme Court justices are free from the electoral process, but they are politically appointed and politically
Okay, same thing with the Inspector Generals.
Hold on. The reason why we do it this way The Supreme Court gets a lifetime appointment so that there is a stability in judicial review. The president gets 4 years, the House gets 2, senators get 6. This country, in my opinion, has become a hodgepodge of duct tape in many ways, notably with agencies operating outside of the confines of government. That makes literally no sense. Well, DOGE is an executive branch department. It's not outside the government.
Hold on, but no, those others were outside the government. Hold on.
CFPB literally. Okay, no, hold on. This is a fact statement. I'm not making this up.
Okay.
One of the big questions right now that sparked a lot of controversy was Donald Trump asserting executive authority over departments that were told or were said to be independent of the president.
Yep.
One of these is CFPB, which is operating outside of the executive branch and Congress. This is, in my view, insanely unconstitutional. The purpose of the political process is quite literally we can impeach Supreme Court justices. We can fundamentally alter agencies that we believe are doing.
You couldn't. I'm pretty sure you can impeach most of the. I'm pretty sure inspector generals can be impeached too, right? I mean, they can be fired by the president even. It's not like there's no oversight. It's not like there aren't mechanisms for controlling these independent agencies.
Wrong or doing right? I just need to prove it wherever it may be.
What points ahead of CFPB?
What
points ahead of CFPB?
The president does.
The president does. Oh, really? You're just like this.
Right.
Oh, that's crazy.
So they're operating outside.
And so who gets to fire employees that are bad?
The president can, but that's different.
Okay.
The president can with cause. Congress legislate. I mean, it depends on the agency, but Congress legislates like what protection the head of the independent agency has. Like, I think they can legislate like what cause you need to fire someone in these agencies.
Shutting down or agency or whatever. Yeah.
So the president can fire these people. Right now, it is largely Democrats resisting executive authority over what should be branches operating under the executive authority. Trump has sole executive authority as the president. It is insane.
Oh my God.
To me that at any point ever.
He can't do anything. He wants.
Again, literally, the implication of this, again, is just Congress would be like the ultimate fucking cuck. It doesn't matter what legislation Congress passes because if the executive truly has this much authority, it doesn't matter what they fucking want to fund. The president can just say, no, fuck you, I'm firing everyone, I'm gutting this entire agency, and that's just not getting done. Like,
Right? He has
Under executive authority.
No, he can't do anything he wants under executive. He can't torture like members of the of his branch, right? Just because he wants to. He has to work within the bounds of the law. If he's not doing that now, then
I gotta
that's
pause
the
you
issue.
there.
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't think you're familiar with the NDAA signed by Obama in 2012.
Please tell me.
Donald Trump can literally take anybody he wants and torture them offshore. And
Okay, then that should be illegal.
that's because the Constitution doesn't apply in like offshore areas, right? That's the whole reason we have Guantanamo Bay is because like the Constitution doesn't really apply there, so like we're allowed to do whatever fucking dumbass enhanced interrogation there.
Well, I completely agree.
Okay,
This is my
I
point.
agree.
Over a long period of time, this country has become a hodgepodge of duct tape with insane things in it. Barack Obama signed the National Defense Authorization Act indefinite detention provision, which allows a president with sole executive authority to rendition literally anyone in the world, anywhere they want, indefinitely. Insanity!
Tim,
George W. Bush.
We're going to fight some agreement here, right? Okay, the thing that I was trying to drive to that I never got to is the point of DOGE, right? And not going through Congress. Because like you just saw, there is a process to do exactly what he's talking about. But he's not using that process.
No, you're misconstruing things. Trump has not issued a deferral or
Impoundment
rescission.
Act. Yes, exactly.
No, Trump has not engaged in rescission or deferral.
Yes, exactly. He hasn't followed the Impoundment Act. That would be the process.
No, hold on. Deferral.
Okay, we talked about this earlier, but yes, that's a point for Prime is that this isn't deferral, because deferral's allowed and impoundment isn't really.
Specifically, if Trump said the funding appropriated to Congress shall be deferred 1 year by sending a letter to Congress. He has not deferred.
I know. I agree. I don't know why you keep repeating that. I know.
I don't think it applies to American citizens. What do you mean? As in, like, you can't send American citizens to Guantanamo Bay and torture them? That's probably true. Yeah.
That.
The Impoundment Act has nothing to do with what DOGE is doing.
No, I'm saying that DOGE is the end.
That obviously is implicated in what DOGE is doing. Obviously, the Impoundment Act is implicated in what DOGE is doing. That's why these court proceedings are citing the Impoundment Act. Like what?
Around the Impoundment Act. That's what I'm saying, right? That we have a process to do that. What I'm saying is
Okay, sure. The issue then is you are saying perhaps there should be new legislation. First, there should be judicial review of what he's doing to see if it violates the Impoundment Act. Because he's not issued deferral or rescission. He's quite literally not frozen funds or rescinded the funds.
That's why we literally already have the things like the temporary restraining orders.
Then we would
For these things, wasn't the judge ruled that the OBM spending freeze violated the Impoundment Act? Did they not?
need new legislation to
Am I
specifically state
misremembering
here are
that?
the parameters by which this is called a check and a balance. This is why we have a legislative branch.
Yeah.
So far, right now, the argument is purely political, stating in the future we should operate like this.
We don't need-
Not what you're doing right now.
No, it's not pure political, right? I'm talking about the actual process. We have a process. He's outside that the bounds of that process. That's it. Okay.
Donald Trump. Okay.
I don't remember for sure if they rolled this or if it was like 2-0, but I'm fairly certain that OBM spending freeze. OBM spending freeze. Or is it? I thought it was Office of Budget Management. Am I? OMB.
You keep saying the Impoundment Act. I'm going to say it again. Rescission. The president says, I hereby rescind these funds. They will not be used for this purpose. Deferral. The president says, I hereby put a stay on these funds for 1 year so we can review based on these criteria.
By the way, there were restrictions even then what you can do, but
Trump has not frozen or rescinded those funds.
I know.
Which means
Trump literally, he froze all that fucking spending anyway, but Government bad is such a hard thought terminating cliche. Get people out of real.
The legal confines of the Impound Act do not apply to
Of course
terminations.
it does, because the Impound Act is to say that the Impound Act says the president can't do that unilaterally, right?
No,
It has to go through.
I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna try one more time.
You can try it again.
Firing an employee is not a declaration of deferral of funding.
If the acts of Congress.
Why are they back to OPM? Why are they back to firing the employees? Again, the firing employees is a different question over how much power the executive branch has and whether Congress can legislate protections for firing people within the executive branch.
Congress don't actually get done.
So in 1 year, in 1 year, we will.
January 29th memo, because I remember he rescinded this memo, although didn't rescind the policy behind it or whatever, because of course he didn't. But was there not a ruling that said this violated the fucking Impoundment Act? Office of Management and Budget.
Visit that conversation.
Okay, all right, then we'll do that.
we're not even
Then you can argue Trump did not.
So the final thing, right? I think this is an act of unitary executive theory.
I agree with some of that.
Of course you do, right? It basically means, right, that under the president, right, you have complete control of the executive, right, and it's unchecked power. That's the unitary executive theory.
Not.
That's exactly what it is.
No, I'm saying the Constitution, you know, check and balance. The judiciary reviews the actions of the executive.
Yeah,
Trump has a single authority. He can't do these things.
No, I'm saying that under the unitary executive theory, right, it's the point is to undermine those checks and balances.
Well, I don't know if
I
that's
say
true.
DOGE is one of the processes they're using to undermine it. They have a process that goes through Congress, right, and they have a Republican Congress that will actually do these things. That said, we want to cut these things, but they're not doing it. They don't want to cut Social Security. Right? So they don't want to cut Social Security, right? So they'll have DOGE do it instead. But we have a process to do exactly
the
that.
Impoundment Act, right? So this is part of the whole thing why people like in my camp voted for Trump is all right. It's clear that we can get shit done, right? Trump has opened up. No, it's not very long. He's followed all court's orders. He's come out of breakneck pace. He's secured border. He's started DOGE. He's done these other things. And so when I look at this, we're only 6 weeks in or 7 weeks now, and Trump has already done so much stuff. We're at like arguably $105 billion saved or $65 billion, whatever. But my point is this. My point is this, right? Like they're sitting.
It's like maybe 15 billion saved.
Here,
But
and we
all
see
right.
this. It's clear that the bureaucracy has been holding us back, and Trump is going in there gutting it.
True.
And then I go,
Another way for the bureaucracy are the things that people voted for. Hold on.
Again, Prime, he's going to say the same thing he said like 100 times, which is there's a process and procedure for doing it. It doesn't seem like Trump is doing these things. And also, they do disagree. I mean, obviously, they do disagree how much bureaucracy is helpful, but...
Did we go for the other stuff before? Hold on. When you talked about democracy, what people voted for? People voted to have the Department of Education. They voted for the CFPB, right? They voted for all these, the Veterans Affairs Office. They voted for all those things.
Right now-
Those things are being...
But those are controlled outside of democracy.
I think, okay, so we do have to wrap up because we're going along, but I do think you made a really great point when I asked which laws were broken. You said the Impoundment Act. The issue, of course, being that to the letter of the law, Trump didn't break that law. However, you choose to interpret it that way because your opinion is that Trump firing people is an end run around the Impoundment Act.
The Impoundment Act has nothing to do with the firing people. The Impoundment Act has to do with the spending freeze. There are probably ways in which Trump has fired people, like the Inspector Generals, that are also unlawful, but...
Because he's eliminating employees that should be able to get the job done, thus effectively deferring the funding because now it's not going to be...
But there probably would be, I don't know if it would be a violation of the Impoundment Act. It probably would be unconstitutional, even under unitary executive theory, for the president to, you would have to bite the bullet that, you know, if it's not unconstitutional, then Congress is the ultimate cuck. And the president can just fire literally everyone in an agency, and that agency is just fucked. And because he didn't technically impound any money or freeze any spending, that would be constitutional if you believe the president has the unilateral authority to fire everyone, if you believe in the like hardcore unitary executive thing.
Utilized properly. This is why my final thoughts on this are the left over the past 15, 20 years has engaged in the ethos of there is no truth but power. This was the words of the late David Graeber, not me, that the left has adopted the fascistic ethos.
Who is that?
What?
Could you explain who that person is?
David Graeber, he was called the anarchist anthropologist. He was a professor and he was a prominent progressive and one of the organizers of Occupy Wall Street.
Okay, thank you.
Surprise Prime K doesn't know
This
who
was 8 years
he
ago.
is.
But before he died, he had this long thread on Twitter, it was Twitter at the time, that the left has adopted fascistic ethos, namely there is no truth but power. And so what we've been seeing is, for instance, with Donald Trump's the documents case, his home was raided, his wife,
Oh my God.
his child's bedroom were raided, and he was they tried to prosecute him under this. Joe Biden, however, there was his ghostwriter explicitly stated on the record.
Oh my fucking God. Biden, when his lawyer voluntarily fucking handed over the documents and he sat down and like cooperated with the FBI for a fucking hours-long interview versus Trump, who hid these documents and instructed his lawyers to hide all the documents, and the entire reason his home was raided was because he didn't hand over all the documents when Nara asked him to hand over the
Biden was recorded saying he had illegally retained national security documents as vice president for the purpose of writing a book to make money. There was no prosecution against Joe Biden. There was against Donald Trump. The statement that Donald Trump violated the Impoundment Act, I do believe, rather exemplifies the crisis we're having in this country, in that, to the letter of law, Donald Trump did not. He did not publicly declare a deferral of funds.
By the way, There's no way Tim Pool doesn't know this. I don't think Tim Pool knows enough about the Impoundment Act to know. He has like a cursory knowledge of it from ChatGPT. Tim Pool should not be making this authoritative of a statement.
Or a rescission of funds, he fired a bunch of people. The interpretation for you and many on the left would be, you see, he is breaking the law. We deem it so by our interpretation. By the spirit of the law, he has broken it, not by the letter. So the challenge we then have is, the left is, there's no...
Oh, wait, here. This is the... It's the Impoundment Act not mentioned. I don't know if they call it the Impoundment Act or if they refer to it by the whatever statute.
Truth but power. We will interpret the law and we will enforce it as we see it, not what the law actually states. Donald Trump is doing an end run, whereas the right has continually played this, yeah, we're not going to do that because we can't. And several examples of that are the Summer of Love riots, where the White House was firebombed. We got no M29 hearings or committee. There was no investigation into the 100+ people who were throwing the firebombs and setting fire to churches, the mass riots that resulted in 30+ deaths, all of it ignored. And this was under Trump's administration. The right does not engage in these no truth but power games for the most part, though sometimes they do. The left has a tendency to do so. My ultimate point is, there's not going to be an agreement as to whether or not what Trump is doing fits or does not fit within the confines, because we fully expect the liberal establishment and whatever's left, if there's no Democratic Party leader, to utilize the law however they see fit to make sure that the political enemies are destroyed. For instance, the racketeering charges against Jenna Ellis in Georgia for simply representing Donald Trump. She was charged with 2 counts of racketeering. All she did was provide legal advice to a man who hired her to do so. And in Georgia, they tried putting her in prison.
Didn't she literally plead guilty to the fucking, to orchestrating the false slate of electors? She pleaded guilty, right? Like, I think she pleaded guilty to orchestrate to, like, orchestrating the whole false slate of electors in Georgia, which is falsifying government documents, which is, like, dude, what an insane interpretation of what Jenna Ellis did. Ellis also accused of urging legislators to unlawfully appoint a set of electors loyal to Trump at a hearing in Pennsylvania. The indictment says she similarly pushed state lawmakers to back false pro-Trump electors in Georgia as well as Arizona and Michigan. She was literally like, yeah, in charge of fucking orchestrating this shit. Yeah, you can't direct people to make fake electors. That are not in compliant with state law as to how electors are to be, decided and certified. That's not how. You can't do that,
Which
buddy.
She lied on TV and apologized for doing so. They did this in, I believe it was Wisconsin as well, targeting the lawyers, the legal representation of a sitting president. We have seen 2.
Kenneth Chesborough and James Trupis, is that who he's talking about? Yes, dude, they deserve to be in jail so hard. Oh my god, have you read their fucking text messages? I'm pretty sure they even called them fake electors. Jesus, dude.
Left-aligned individuals tried to assassinate the man. Not to mention the Iranian plot, but that's here nor there. You've got terror attacks against Tesla. I perceive this as Republicans are going to continue.
Kenneth Chesborough was working directly with Johnny. I think he's talking about this. Or no, he's not talking. This is a civil case, I think. But I think he's talking about the prosecution of Kenneth Chesborough in Wisconsin. That guy, yeah, 100% deserves to be in prison for fucking life. Yes. Jesus. Was it Kenneth Chesborough who was this timeline thing has a lot of stuff from Kenneth Chesborough because he was very heavily involved in this. I forgot. Yeah, he had his fucking secret Twitter account where he was saying, "Oh my god," where he's saying this shit, where it's the president can choose or whatever electors. Jesus. Just bro, sends troop. It's a 5-page strat. These are insane fucking texts these guys had. Both of them, yeah, absolutely deserve to be in prison. They tried to defraud all 7 different fucking states. Are you kidding me?
Be weak. However, and the left will continually either obfuscate, defend, engage in extra legal practices, target lawyers, shut down speech.
We just need someone coordinating the electors for states. Jesus, dude. But yeah, this guy, I think he's talking about Chesbro and James Troopers, who I believe are both indicted in Wisconsin. Both were coordinating with John Eastman as well. And this email, Chesbro discusses having the electors send an alternate slates of votes on December 14th as a potential source of leverage for the Trump campaign, which might be exerted in January to force serious review in congressional, in Congress of election fraud services. I think he even admitted. Oh yeah. He says fake here. Even though the votes aren't legal under federal law. I think he even there's another thing where he says like the plan is like at best dicey in God, did he say questionable? Yeah, Chesbro warns the laws of Georgia and Pennsylvania make the alternate electors plan somewhat dicey in those states. He also warns that Nevada is extremely problematic. Like, this dude, throw him in fucking prison for 20 years. Thank you, Jacob.
The censorship wave of major corporations about 2010s and big tech with left-aligned individuals working with federal intelligence agencies, shutting down largely conservative personalities was denied by the corporate press, finally admitted to by now Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey, and the whole lot of them. They now acknowledge, yeah, they actually did that. We have evidence from actually left-leaning publications in which the intelligence agencies had back doors into Facebook, this is from The Intercept, and X, to submit for review things they wanted taken down. It is now a known fact several years on that, yes, these institutions actually were censoring opinions, largely the conservative side. You then have the Summer of Love riots, the Antifa riots, the 90-plus days of firebombing of federal buildings by far leftists, to which Kamala Harris and Joe Biden solicited
all the
funding
insurrections, all the BLM insurrections.
The one time that we have, of great merit, not the only time I'm saying.
Can you slow down in video? I can't understand. No, I need to get through it.
The firebombing of the White House and St. John's Church should have resulted in mass committee hearings and mass arrests. J6 did, and we got years of hearings. The lopsidedness of enforcement and aggression in this country is apparent to anybody who follows the news. For example, Joe Biden and the Burisma scandal. Joe Biden said illegally to a president of a foreign nation. This one's for you. Congress approved federal loan guarantees to...
No. They talked about this earlier. Again, no, the president, the issue was Trump was trying to solicit interference in the election by trying to get dirt on Hunter Biden to win the next election. Biden was trying to fire someone who was actually corrupt, by the way. Even Tim Pool believes he was corrupt. And that was literally, my understanding, literally it was written into these loan guarantees or whatever that they had to get rid of corruption. Like,
to
Jesus,
Ukraine.
kill
And
me.
Joe Biden flew there and told the president, I am going to block that as vice...
Please, I can put it in like 1.5 times speed instead of 1.75.
Unless you make a political move that I demand. The firing of a state prosecutor, Victor Shokin, who was currently investigating, among other things, Mykola Zlochevsky, the founder of the Burisma Energy Company, for which Joe Biden's son was on the board. Call it whatever you want. At the bare minimum, it was a conflict of interest. When Donald Trump called the president and said, what is this all about? I want this investigated. He was impeached for it and accused...
Not how Tim Pool doesn't believe that, by the way. Thank you, Brandon, for the follow. I appreciate it. Hell yeah. Jesus. Welcome.
Of a quid pro quo. By all means, say Donald Trump was guilty. Joe Biden should be guilty all the same. But for some reason, enforcement only went one direction. What we have today is for the first time that I have seen in 20 years, the Republican side has said it is time to wield power. And what have they done? Fired people. And the reaction from the left is it's a threat to our democracy. He's destroying our democracy. He must be stopped. Okay, the reason I think Donald Trump won is because nobody liked the Summer of Love riots. Nobody liked the 30-plus deaths. Nobody liked the firebombing of the White House, and nothing was done about it at all. Nobody likes...
I don't think most voters are thinking about that. I think they're thinking about the price of eggs, but...
that
sure.
they're paying taxes at all, regardless of whether they're good or bad. Nobody wants to fund foreign wars. The Democrats have become the party of the military-industrial complex at the top level, not the progressives, in their support for Israel.
Agreed.
As party-wide, their support for Ukraine, including the progressives.
Unlike the Republicans, unlike Trump, who doesn't support Israel at all.
Okay. That is the largest funding right now of the military-industrial complex, and it is supported across the board. The right has become what I would call the Horde, in reference to World of Warcraft, a hodgepodge of various groups who've only aligned against the quote-unquote alliance of established power structures.
They also support Israel.
They're largely at the establishment level, but I would imagine that both sides...
Lots of evangelicals are power-based, like, supports Israel, of course.
Both the left and the right have their anti-Israel faction.
Fair enough.
And absolutely, Donald Trump will give Israel whatever they want. However, the side that has the larger anti-war sentiment and element is, of course, the Republican side. So what we see right now is the principal positions of the right. We want chemicals out of our food. There are some people on the left who want that, though R.F. Kennedy Jr. was rejected by every single Democrat when he was up for appointment. And what is R.F.K. Jr.'s position? We should have better science, better...
I don't think that's true, actually. I mean, maybe it wasn't. Now, if I'm going to TwitchCon confirmed, I don't know. If you guys... Listen, everyone in Twitch chat, everyone watching on YouTube, you know, if you sub to the YouTube channel, okay, get the YouTube subscribers up. Maybe I'll consider it, okay? I thought RFK had like I know what. Maybe it was. Well, no, yeah, okay, sure. But I mean, there's been other Trump appointees where Democrats voted yes, but.
Reviews, and they called him an anti-vaxxer, and they called him all these other things, and then he put out an op-ed saying, please get the vaccine, which is insane. It's insane that people criticized him for that when he was never anti-vaxxer, I mean. RFK Jr. represents the let's get healthy, which used to be a left Democrat position. It was the big corporations aligned with libertarian billionaires that didn't care that we had chemicals. You've got Tulsi Gabbard, a large anti-war personality, critical of U.S. spending and foreign policy, and the bombings in Syria, etc. And they called her pro-Russia for it because she was critical of us engaging in regime change wars across the Middle East.
True.
So you've got the anti-war element, the health element, and you've got the make America, the reduce the size of government element. On the Democrat side, you have I would call it also additionally a strange hodgepodge, but you have support overtly for the military-industrial complex at the highest levels.
Absolutely.
Broad support for the military-industrial complex at the progressive to large levels, which is Ukraine.
I don't like that. I mean, it's better just split up as anti-establishment and like pro-establishment. There are plenty of like pro-establishment Republicans who are more military-industrial complex friendly than even like the pro-establishment fucking like Democrats. But like
Ukraine received more funding than Israel has in 70 years. So if you're talking about the principal funding, the largest recipient of military-industrial complex support is Ukraine. Nothing else comes close. Even Vietnam, I think, was only 70 billion.
Renewal's gone by now, but yeah.
Israel has right now, after 70 years, has already been surpassed by Ukraine in 2, which is nuts. The Democrats.
I don't think that's that nuts. Like, one, Israel's more capable of defending itself. It just has a large, defense sector already, obviously. And two, they're not really engaged in like the same type of conflict. Like, when was the last time Israel lost territory? Not in like, I mean, I guess they gave up the Sinai in exchange for peace with Egypt, but like.
Largely supported mass corporations.
My man, I don't know if you know, you got a head on your nose. Yeah,
now support
nice
war.
One. Thanks,
they oppose
Brandon
the health operations, and they support bureaucratic institutions, which most people can't understand what's currently going on. My view here is, now I'm ranting, but I'll just finish by saying this. When you've got prominent punk rock bands that used to be anti-war, now pro-Ukraine, it appears that the Democratic...
That used to be anti-war, now pro-Ukraine, because anti-war definitely meant all wars, no matter what. Anti-war definitely means that you don't want nations to defend themselves. Yeah.
Constitution has crumbled for a reason, and that is it is hypocritical and doesn't seem to be at all representing any core ideology. The ultimate point I'm trying to make is no one's going to agree. The Democrats are going to continue to say might makes right, and the right is going to continue to say, but we're literally watching these things happen. The difference now is through the collapse of the corporate narrative machine and the rise of podcasts, Donald Trump was able to win, and now you actually have people who want actions to happening, and of course the Democrats still maintain might makes right, so we'll do what we want.
Yeah, I'll just give you my final thought.
That's what Democrats think, dude.
There's an age-old expression when you look at organized crime, is that they get more violent and they get louder the closer you get to hitting their money. And it seems to me, it's crazy that the reaction to Doge by the left in general has been like terror attacks on Tesla, has been outrage over all the stuff that's been going down. And to me, it seems like it's because they're hitting the money and there's some kind of nasty onion that we need to pull back the layers. And, I just, the visceral just hatred, and they're sitting here, they're calling President Musk, they're calling him, a Nazi, they're calling him all these different things. And I'm just going, well, there's got to be something up. And every time he goes and clears something out, it's just no matter what he does, it's bad, even if it's not bad. And
even when he took out the leader of ISIS.
Yeah, terrible.
I believe it was Ezra Klein who said something to the effect of the fact that Democrats can't give Trump one good day effectively disproves their like. I'll paraphrase, but the fact that Trump couldn't get one good day at all for killing a man who was kidnapping young girls and raping them and leading a terror organization in the Middle East, something that even Obama spoke out against, shows there is no ethos or ideology behind their actions. It is simply might makes right.
I thought we were anti-war, bro. I thought we were anti-war. What? Now we're pro killing all these people. I mean, I don't think even. Most Democrats will say that's probably a fine thing to do. I don't think there's many Democrats, unless you're like hardcore peacenik or whatever, and don't believe we should be doing any drone strikes at all. I don't think most Democrats would say that was really bad.
Well, he turned General Salami into Salami. I mean, a big fan of that. He crippled Iran's terror organizations with through the what is the.
I mean, I think the Democrats kind of didn't like that because they thought it might provoke war for Iran, and that only really happened because Trump pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal.
Nobody ever wanted to give him credit for that.
But these are things the Democrats, based on their positions today, should have supported. This is the issue. Donald Trump takes out the quote-unquote austere scholar in ISIS, and he was still heavily criticized for it. He takes out the leader of terror operations in the Middle East.
That happened in Iraq, though. If I'm remembering with the General Islam thing, it happened in Iraq. That was, if I remember correctly, and it's been a long time, right? That was the issue. Not that he took him out because we attack Iran all the time, right? But that we took him out on Iraqi territory. But
see, that's hypocrisy.
Yeah.
We violating Barack. Oh, let's play the game, buddy. Barack Obama murdered a 16-year-old.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. Barack Obama murdered the 16-year-old kid. Barack Obama drone strike that.
And where is the outrage over what Biden was doing and what Obama was doing?
Obama got a fuck ton of criticism from his drone strikes, especially from Democrats, but okay. What would you ask Trump right now if you can? I don't think anything I asked him, he would do. I don't know what you mean. Jesus.
Outrage on the left. I agree with you in terms of liberals. I 100% agree with you in terms of their support of Israel, right? Like, it's been completely undermining anything they've talked about.
And let me pause you, because my point is, when Democrats defended and cheered for Obama murdering people, children in Yemen,
wrong. Yeah.
they don't care.
Maybe I hang out on the wrong Democrat spheres. I don't know how many Democrats were really. First of all, how many Democrats really knew about the fucking shit in Yemen we did. I'm not convinced there's that many in the first place. But also, I feel like I've heard a lot more Democrats be upset about that shit than Republicans. But I don't know. Maybe I'm hanging out with some, I don't know, especially woke people who don't want us to bomb brown children or something. Like, I don't know, man.
Talking about you or the progressives, I'm saying the Democrat establishment,
agreed,
that is supposed to be the other side of this conflict, are mad at Trump for killing Soleimani while celebrating or defending Barack Obama for murdering literal children in countries we're not at war with.
I don't think anyone celebrates that specific thing, dude.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
And that is the principal issue.
We both have anti-establishment views then. Okay.
It is. That's why I said I'll tell you one of the problems I have with the progressives is their support for Ukraine, which makes literally no sense.
True. Gotta shove this in the last 7 minutes or else he doesn't get paid, guys.
Okay. But anyway, I digress. Sure. Instead of me interrupting and ranting like I should, we should wind things down. So if you guys want to take the final thoughts.
Go ahead, Brad.
Okay. Doge is a disaster in terms of constitutionality. It violates the Congress's ability to decide where funds go, and it undermines various other laws and regulations. They're going to be we're figuring this out in court. I think that there's lots of things that we didn't get to, right? Because we got distracted by immigration, unfortunately. But we didn't get to Elon Musk, like endless conflicts of interest, right? Like, for instance, like undermining other companies' contracts. Right? So he starts firing people in the FAA, and then he decides, oh, the FAA is using the system, is deciding to go to Verizon to get this communication system. I'm going to get that contract canceled, or it's going to mysteriously cancel itself. And then Starlink instead is going to take that contract. Interesting, right? I think the Doge does a bad job in giving Trump the information, right? So
the shit they just did at the White House, man, with the fucking Teslas,
dude.
It's
just an advisory board, which people claim, which is bullshit, right? But if it's just an advisory board, it's giving Trump information to then act, then it's doing a bad job. We can see that with the Social Security Administration, right? Talking about those tens of millions of people, right, over 150, getting checks. That was a lie, right? That was a lie. Not even a lie. I think it's because they were so stupid.
I have a feeling Russian funding is drying up. If he's getting to the Twitch poll or whatever this is. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm happy to see it happen. But I don't know, maybe.
Exactly how those government databases worked, right? It was literally just a quirk of programming. But we see this all the time in terms of errors. So it's not efficient, and that makes mistakes all the goddamn time. It requires other people to error check it, right? It has tried to ensconce itself in secrecy in terms of like hiding from FOIA requests, pretending it's not an agency, but then pretending it is an agency. Donald Trump saying that Elon Musk is in charge of Doge, but then not in charge of Doge, and so is this Amy Gleason person no one's ever heard of, right? This is a whole process to undermine our democracy. Rather than going through Congress, rather than going through the normal process that we have set up, we have Doge, right? And you can say it's getting rid of waste, fraud, and abuse, right? But one, Doge is deciding what is waste, fraud, and abuse. Some of that we can agree with, and there's a lot of it that we can't, right? But it should be handled through our legislative process. That's the process that we have. And so undermining that is a problem. This is an act of the unitary executive theory, right? This is to undermine the checks and balances so that the executive has unchecked power. This is exactly the plan.
Real,
right? Who's now the head of Office of Budget and Management, I believe. He is another person who's been.
How did Prime K get on Tip Guys before me? I'm not sure. Apparently, Gibbs and him were invited.
Executive theory, right? So there is in his Attorney General Barr, right, from his first term, right, actively talked about the unitary executive theory. All of this is in line with that. Westfall is important. He's critical to actually accomplishing this plan. So I'm against that. I like the checks and balances. The checks and balances that Tim apparently says that he still values. If you do, well, then you won't like Doge. I appreciate you, Tim, for inviting me on the
Thanks for coming. It's been fun.
Well, first, I big fan of everything Trump's done. Trump said we get tired of winning. Not tired yet. It's been every day. It's breakneck wins. I just can't even keep track. Elon, if you happen to watch this, hey, why don't you go check out the ATF? We'd be huge fans of that.
Oh my God.
As far as I know, nobody likes the ATF. But moving on, love what he's doing. Hope he keeps up the good work. Big fan of all of those things. I've
been checking it all day. You still? They've said so much fucking insane shit. Okay, and then, by the way, I had 4 people here at one point. Okay, it was fucking me, Renyold, Sample, and Koi. So like. They would say some insane shit, and we'd pause and all talk about it, okay? So, listen, we're getting through it. It says closing statement.
It's clearly bloated. I think the fact that we're getting this visceral reaction from the Dems is indicative that there is corruption. I think that
we're going to find one. Yeah, the VOD's public.
It's just crazy to me. But yeah, shout out to Prime for helping set this up. Thanks for having us, Tim. And
Prime set it up.
Shout out to Modia Wick. I wouldn't be streaming and doing any of this without them.
Where can people find you?
You can find me every day, Monday through Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Central as Admiral Gibbs on pretty much every platform.
Sure. You can find me on twitch.tv and youtube.com at primekai, PRIMECAYES. Love to have you. We usually stream on Mondays and Thursdays, but we're expanding our streams, right? We want to do more content. So please check us out. I'd love to have you. And you'll find Gibbs here. So you like Gibbs, you'll find more of Gibbs. We argue all the time, and I prove him wrong all the time.
Something like that. I don't know if I've ever been proved right. They call me the political prophet because I'm always right. It's crazy.
Gentlemen, it's been great. Thanks for hanging out. I wish we had more time, but in the future, we're planning on doing these live with an audience and bringing up people on stage. So I'd love to have you guys back. It'd be great.
Jesus. Tim Pool, if you see this, invite me, and let me debate you, Tim Pool, on tariffs and independent agencies, because apparently you fucking hate those and think that shit's dumb. I don't know.
And in about, let's see, a month and a half, we're playing our first show, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully you guys as members may actually come up and sit at the table and yell at one of these two fine gentlemen, or, depending, he's really excited for that. Yeah, the idea is for those that are members of the Timcast Discord, we want to have about 40 seats in the audience, and members of the audience submit their debate talking point on the core issue, so we present them.
How do I do in a Timcast Discord? Where's the... Do we need to be a Patreon for that or something?
Doge, for or against. Then we're going to try and do split between half for, half against. People will present their arguments. We'll look through them.
Nonfon, unironically, I don't want you going on. What's wrong with me going on Tim? What? You don't want me going on Tim Pool? That'd be a huge opportunity. What do you mean, bro?
And if they're not very good, then we're going to be like, okay, we're not going to this person, but we're not going to be mean. But then we want to bring people up, have them sit down in the chair, and give them a few minutes to debate.
That's a really cool idea. I've been working on my own. I've been doing like a formal debates where there's like a winner and loser, and we have rankings and whatnot. And I think that there's definitely space in this industry for what you're describing.
I think the issue is we want to decentralize the ability for people to be loud. Sure. And there's probably a lot of people we've never heard of who are smarter than all of us combined, and they're just not marketing people. They're intelligent philosophers and researchers, and they could sit here and explain.
You're not good at convincing stupid people things.
All of us why we're all wrong. Yeah. And then come up with some really crazy.
I would love. I don't know what you mean. I would love to do a fucking free trade debate of Tim Pool. Oh my god.
The idea. So that's the goal.
I like it.
But that's the future, my friends. We're gonna be back tonight at Timcast IRL 8 p.m. with a bunch of news. It's getting crazy out there. The swatting's getting crazy. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see y'all then.
Fucking Jesus Christ! I can't believe we got a 40-minute conversation on fucking immigration and how much immigration reduces wages before we got to, hey, maybe by the way what Doge is doing is not constitutional. But then Tim Pool was just like, actually, I fully believe in unitary executive theory, by the way, and also I'm gonna ask ChatGPT what the Impoundment Act is. Jesus fucking Christ! What's up, Isaac? If you want to chat with me live, sub here or go to Nonfon420 on Twitch or Kick via the links below. Once again, please like and sub to help with the algorithm, and consider sending a donation through YouTube Super Thanks to directly support me, and I'll make sure to reply to any question you ask. See you guys next time.